Chapter 88. Leave quickly. If you don't leave now, it will be too late. The saber in the Tang clan martial Grand Master's hand cut open another wound on Yilan's chest. Yilan did not care about the wound on his body as he spoke anxiously to Xiaoling. Just as Yilan spoke, the martial Grand Master changed his angle of attack and headed for Yilan's chest. Yilan felt a chill in his heart, and his eyes were filled with despair. Bang! In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiaochen instantly executed the lightning evasion. The lunar shadow saber hacked at the martial Grand Master's head. If he still wanted to attack Yilan, his head would immediately split open. That martial Grand Master had no choice but to withdraw his saber and retreat. He looked at Xiaochen, who had suddenly appeared, and revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. I caught a big fish. I wonder what kind of reward the clan head will give me after I kill you. Team leader Xiaochen, weren't you in the Great Hall? Leave quickly, this place is too dangerous, Yilan said in astonishment as he looked at Xiaochen who had saved him. When Xiaoling saw Xiaochen suddenly appear, she was pleasantly surprised and said, Elder brother Xiaochen, leave quickly, this place is too dangerous. Xiaochen stared at the martial Grand Master in front of him. He did not turn his head and said indifferently, You guys leave first. Trust me, I am your team leader, am I not? Why are you still not leaving? Are you trying to distract me? Xiaochen's expression turned cold when he saw the two of them did not move. Team leader, take care. Elder brother Xiaochen, you have to be careful. The two of them exhorted each other and quickly retreated. Xiaochen's spiritual sense sensed that they had left the front courtyard. He did not bother with the people in front of him, and retreated to the gate that connected the front courtyard to the courtyard. This was the only entrance to the courtyard, the Great Hall, and the back courtyard. As long as Xiaochen guarded this place, no matter how capable these people were, they would not be able to enter. Under Xiaochen's delay, a few more Xiao clan disciples left the front courtyard. The Xiao clan disciples in the front yard had all been cleaned up. The Lung clan's clan head, Lung Yun, led a group of martial saints and more than 100 martial grand masters over to Xiaochen. Clan head, this is Xiaochen, Lung Yunza explained to Lung Yun as he looked angrily at Xiaochen. Lan Chaoyang said in a lukewarm tone. He is just an inferior grade martial master. To think he was able to escape from Elder Lung previously. When Lung Yun heard this, he frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, The two of you, quickly go and deal with this person. If you cannot defeat him within 3 moves, I will record a major demerit and punish you after this. If you are not able to take him down within 3 moves, I will record a major demerit and punish you after this. Xiaochen's eyes were bloodshot as he looked at the people in front of him. Boom! Suddenly, a boundless killing intent burst out from Xiaochen's eyes. His right hand quickly formed hand seals, and the blood essence buried in the talisman was instantly activated by Xiaochen, forming a strange connection. Boom! Suddenly, dark clouds covered the clear and boundless sky, churning endlessly. Muffled thunder roared continuously. Suddenly, the sky turned gloomy. A scarlet pillar of light rose up from 8 different directions around the Xiao residence, rushing into the sky. Xiaochen's body flew 1,000 meters above the ground. Countless arcs of lightning surrounded him. Thunderbolts flashed by, illuminating Xiaochen's face, making it flicker between bright and dark. He was like a god of thunder as he stood in the air, emitting a supreme might. Xiaochen cautiously controlled the surrounding lightning. Under the guidance of the 9th Heaven's thunder formation, the destructive energy poured in crazily. If there was any carelessness in controlling this energy, Xiaochen would suffer a backlash and turn into dust. Clan head, what is going on? The sudden situation caused the Lung clan's people to feel an indescribable sense of panic. The lightning in the dark clouds was like a sharp knife carrying an aura of death, ready to fall at any moment. Lung Zhengyan revealed an incomparably grave expression. After a while he said in a daze, This is a formation that only appeared in the ancient era. How can someone lay it? Quick! Shoot him down. Otherwise we will all die here, Lung Zhengyan suddenly said loudly. A group of cultivators with bows and arrows drew their bows and shot at the sky. However, before the arrows that were flying at Xiaochen could get close to Xiaochen, they were turned into dust by the lightning in the dark clouds. Outside the front yard, Xiao Xiong, who had led the elites of the Xiao clan, rushed over. When he saw Xiao Chun in the sky and the countless lightning in the dark clouds, his expression changed slightly. He waved his hand and said, "Don't go any further. That is a formation that has been lost since the ancient era. If you step into it, you might be killed by mistake." When Xiao Chong heard this, his expression changed greatly. He said, "It is rumored that only those with a cultivation realm can use the formation. Can second young master withstand it?" The expression on Xiao Xiong's face was incomparably grave. He turned his head and said to Lu Fenglin, "Elder Lu, if anything happens to Xiao Chen later, please bring him away immediately. This is my request. I hope you will agree to it." Lu Fenglin did not say anything. He only nodded his head and agreed to Xiao Xiong's request. Leng Zhengyun looked at the arrows that had turned into dust in the sky. There was a trace of fear in his eyes. After a while he shouted loudly. He bent his legs and leaped up, rushing into the sky. Xiao Chen moved his spiritual sense. Before he could make a move, the lightning in the dark clouds pierced through the sky under the guidance of his spiritual sense and instantly struck Leng Zhengyun. The strong power of the lightning struck Leng Zhengyun down on the spot. He landed heavily on the ground. His entire body was charred black as he twitched nonstop. "Clan head, how are you?" The people beside him quickly helped him up. They checked his injuries and fed him a medicinal pill. Leng Zhengyun consumed a medicinal pill, and his complexion improved slightly. He said weakly, "Leave quickly. Leave before the formation core is formed. Don't bother about me. My internal organs have already been destroyed by the lightning. I have no chance of survival." After Leng Zhengyun spoke, he fainted again. Clan head, are you alright?" "Brilliant heavenly might, guided by Qi. 9 heavens divine lightning, heed my command. Destroy." Xiao Chen's hands continuously formed hand seals. The lightning in the sky rumbled. It was like a magnificent army with thousands of men and horses. It was vast and boundless, and its aura shook the heavens. The moment Xiao Chen spoke, countless lightning bolts struck the ground. There were flashes of lightning in the gloomy sky. Ah! A martial Grand Master was struck by the lightning. He cried out miserably as his body instantly turned into a bloody mess. He died on the spot. "Run quickly." The terrifying aura immediately scared everyone out of their wits. Their faces paled in fright as they quickly retreated. Xiao Chen smiled coldly in his heart. "You think you can escape?" With the help of the 9th Heaven's Thunder Formation, his spiritual sense enveloped the entire Xiao residence. He placed a hidden mark on the bodies of this group of people. The lightning would automatically chase after the people who placed the mark. Boom, 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 boom. Countless lightning bolts descended. This place was like purgatory. Miserable cries resounded unceasingly. Every time a bolt of lightning descended, it would reap a life. Xiao Chen did not feel any pity in his heart. He thought of the girl from earlier. Even after her head was chopped off, she continued to run. His heart could not remain calm. His spiritual sense quickly scanned the air, and soon discovered Leng Yun's figure. This fellow was leaping up and down, actually dodging a few bolts of lightning. The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth curled up into a cold smile. His figure flashed in the air, and arrived in front of Leng Yunzi. Seeing the sudden appearance of Xiao Chun, Leng Yunzi was startled. He said sternly, "Xiao Chun, you actually dare to appear in front of me. Reckless." Xiao Chun did not say anything. He stretched out his hand and pointed. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket descended from the sky. Before Leng Yunzi could finish speaking, he was electrocuted into meat paste. The smell of roasting wafted out. Xiao Chun laughed coldly and kicked Leng Yunzi's body into the air. There was a flash of saber light, and Leng Yunzi was immediately chopped in half. His spiritual sense continued to spread out. Xiao Chun targeted those martial saint experts. These people's movement techniques were shocking. They were actually able to dodge the lightning. Boom, boom, boom. There were a few more bolts of lightning as thick as a bucket. Under Xiao Chen's direction, not a single one of those martial saints managed to escape. They were all electrocuted into meat paste. After half an hour, Xiao Chen slowly descended from the sky. The front yard was filled with charred corpses. None of the martial grandmasters or martial saints had managed to escape. The dark clouds scattered and the 8 scarlet light pillars around the Shao residence slowly sank into the ground. The instant the light pillars completely disappeared, the Shao residence's 8 scarlet pillars slowly sank into the ground. The instant the pillars of light disappeared, the horrifying energy between heaven and earth vanished, and the sunlight shone on the ground once again. There was a piercing pain in Xiao Chen's mind. Faint traces of blood could be seen clearly on his pale face. Amidst the intense pain, Xiao Chen felt the energy in his body drain away rapidly. Boom! There was an explosion in his dantian. Xiao Chen's cultivation had actually dropped by an entire grade, becoming a superior grade martial disciple once again. When the pain in his mind slowly disappeared, Xiao Chen consumed a qi-returning pill. He smiled bitterly to himself. In order to kill this group of people, he had wasted an entire grade of his cultivation. However, he did not regret it. Even if Xiao Chen's cultivation realm returned to the spirit refinement realm, he would not hesitate to use the 9th Heaven's Thunder formation against this group of people. Shua, shua. The sound of footsteps could be heard as Xiao Xiong led the Xiao clan over. Xiao Chong flew forward and checked on the condition of Xiao Chen's body. He could not help but be startled. He actually dropped a grade. This is too strange. I have never heard of this before. When Xiao Xiong saw that Xiao Chen was fine, he heaved a sigh of relief. He brought up the same topic again. Xiao Chen, is your martial spirit the blue dragon? So what if it is, and so what if it isn't? Xiao Chen felt incomparably fatigued. When faced with this question again, he no longer had the slightest bit of patience in his heart. Xiao Xiong's expression turned cold. He did not expect that Xiao Chen would use such a tone to speak to him. He said in a deep voice, "If it is, you can leave now. Never come back to Mo City. The further you go, the better." Xiao Chen was startled. Although he had already planned to leave the Xiao clan after the promise of 10 years, he did not expect such an ending. Xiao Xiong actually wanted to expel him? Xiao Yulan, who was at the side, said in astonishment, "Clan head, now that Xiao Chen has done a great service, why are you still chasing him away?" Xiao Xiong took out a stack of banknotes and 2 porcelain bottles containing medicinal pills. He said to Xiao Chen, "Here are 1,000,000 taels of silver and 2 bottles of rank 3 medicinal pills. Keep them." Yi Lan suddenly knelt on the ground and said, "Clan head, please take back your orders. Don't chase second young master away." Xiaoling also suddenly knelt down and said, "First uncle, don't chase elder brother Xiao Chen away. He is now the hero of our Xiao clan. Clan head, please take back your orders. Don't chase second young master away." Those who had trained with Xiao Chun in the gloomy forest, as well as those who were saved by Xiao Chun, all knelt down as well. Xiao Xiong said angrily, "What are you trying to do, rebel?" Xiao Chun did not say anything. He slowly walked over and helped everyone up. Then, under everyone's astonished gazes, he knelt in front of Xiao Xiong and kowtowed heavily. "This kneel is to thank you on behalf of Xiao Chen. Without you, I, Xiao Chen, would not have been able to come to this world. No matter what decision you make, I will not blame you." Bang! Xiao Chen kowtowed heavily again and said, "This kneel is to thank the elders of the Xiao clan for taking care of me after I came to this world." Bang! "This kneel is to thank all of you brothers and sisters who were willing to plead for me. A man's knees are worth gold. I, Xiao Chen, am not worthy of your kneeling." After Xiao Chen spoke, he dashed out. He did not take the banknotes and medicinal pills that Xiao Xiong had prepared for him. He executed the lightning evasion, and his figure quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. Xiao Yulan, who was chasing after him, watched as Xiao Chen gradually disappeared into the distance. Her beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she sobbed silently. Outside Mo City, Xiao Chen looked at the tall city walls. He used the life bestowal spell and formed a little bird. He took out a prescription and a letter that he had already written. He tied it to the little bird's leg and sent it to Mo Fan's residence. The medicinal pill recorded on the prescription was a medicinal pill that could heal broken legs. Because Xiao Chen could not find the ingredients, he could not refine it. Now that he was about to leave Mo City, he could only give the prescription to Mo Fan. In the letter, he begged Mo Fan to protect the Xiao clan for 3 years. Although Xiaochen could not see through Mo Fan's strength, he was at least a peak martial saint. With Mo Fan's protection, the Xiao clan should be able to survive this calamity. Seeing the little bird gradually disappear into the sky, Xiaochen said with some sadness in his heart, "Goodbye, Mo City." When he turned around, he saw an unexpected face. Looking at that beautiful and elegant figure, Xiaochen did not know why, but his depressed mood actually improved significantly. Feng Feishue, did you calculate that I would be chased out by the Xiao clan today? That's why you were waiting here? Feng Feishue, who was dressed in men's clothes and holding a folding fan, smiled faintly when she heard this. I do not have any other intentions. I just wanted to send you off and give you something along the way. With a flip of her palm, a martial technique manual suddenly flew toward Xiaochen. Xiaochen received it suspiciously. He looked at the words on the cover and slowly read it out. Blue Dragon Cloud Soaring Art. Xiaochen was astonished in his heart, but his expression did not change. He smiled faintly and said, "To others this martial technique is worthless. However, to me it is a priceless treasure. I do not believe that you would give me such a good thing for nothing. Be more straightforward. What requests do you have? Just tell me directly. I really need what you are giving me. As long as it is within my capabilities, I will do my best to help you." When Feng Feishue heard this, she found it interesting. This was the first time she met a man who dared to speak to her so directly. She smiled and said, "In the future, if I meet with any difficulties, I would like you to help me. I will not tell you what this favor is, but you will definitely be able to do it. Deal. In the future, if you can find me, I will be at your beck and call." After Xiaochen spoke, he turned around and left without looking back. Seeing Xiaochen agree so straightforwardly, Feng Feishue was stunned for a moment. By the time she reacted, she discovered that Xiaochen had already walked far away. She said loudly, "Xiaochen, are you not afraid that I will cheat you?" In the distance, Xiaochen's footsteps did not stop at all. He held the martial technique manual and gently waved his hand. A voice slowly transmitted over. "I believe you." Chapter 89. Great Qin Nation, Dongming Province, Sisui Prefecture, Whitewater City, within a restaurant. Have you heard? Something big happened in Hunluo Province's Chizi County. On the second floor, a cultivator wearing coarse robes spoke to his 4 companions. He had a rough appearance and thick eyebrows, giving him a heroic air. This restaurant was called Liushang Pavilion. It was the largest restaurant in Whitewater City. There was a total of 5 floors. The higher one went, the more silver one would have to spend. After reaching the 3rd floor, if one wanted to go up, aside from needing a large amount of silver, one would also need a noble status. Even if one had money, one would not be able to go up. As for the 5th floor of Liushang Pavilion, it was a legendary existence. It only entertained guests of the same level as the Whitewater City Lord. Normally, it would not be open for business. Most of the commoners would eat on the 1st floor, but most cultivators would choose to eat on the 2nd floor. Due to the proximity of Savage Forest, there were many cultivators in Whitewater City. Hence, the 2nd floor of Liushang Pavilion had the highest flow of people. When the companion beside him heard this, he said out of curiosity, "I've heard of this before. In Chizi County, there was a youth who killed 10 martial saints and 200 martial grandmasters in one day." Another cultivator said, "Why did I hear that it was 50 martial saints and 500 martial saints?" When a youth sitting by the window on the 2nd floor heard this, he spat out all the wine he was drinking. He muttered to himself, "Rumors, rumors. If this continues, will I be able to kill a martial king with one slap?" The youth wiped the water off his mouth and picked up a piece of wood and a carving knife from the table. He started to focus on carving. The sunlight shone through the window and shone on the youth's distinct face, giving it a faint golden glow. The youth's expression was extremely serious and meticulous. It was as though what he was holding was not a piece of wood, but a rare treasure. He appeared solemn and respectful. His focused state of mind gave him a certain charm. Beside the young man, there was a snow-white spirit fox. It looked extremely adorable and was excitedly eating a bowl of fish porridge. Not long after, it finished the porridge. It carefully ran to the table, holding the empty porcelain bowl in its mouth, and gently patted the young man's right arm with its right paw. The young man stopped what he was doing and looked at the spirit fox. He realized that it was looking at him pitifully. Its big, watery eyes were filled with tears, and its other paw was pointing at the empty porcelain bowl. Seeing its behavior, the young man smiled faintly. Bye, you're really a glutton. Waiter, give me another bowl of fish roe meat porridge. Give me a big bowl. The young man called out loudly. Not long after, the waiter rushed over with a big bowl of fish porridge. Although his movements were fast, his hands and feet were very steady. It was obvious that this waiter had a certain level of cultivation. Dang. The meat porridge landed firmly on the table, not a single drop spilled out. The waiter smiled and said, "The fish porridge is here. If you have any requests, please let us know." The young man waved his hand and left behind a silver ingot as a tip. The waiter received it happily and gave his thanks before leaving quickly. When the spirit fox saw the meat porridge was served, its pitiful expression immediately disappeared. It was replaced with a joyful expression as it rushed towards the meat porridge, completely forgetting about the existence of the young man. The young man scolded jokingly, "Now that there's food, it immediately forgets about its master." After he spoke, he did not mind and continued to focus on carving the wooden sculpture in his hands. This young man was Mo City's Xiaochen. After he left the Xiao clan, he was prepared to rush to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. He wanted to become a disciple of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and awaken Ao Jiao from the Lunar Shadow Saber. However, after he left the Xiao clan, he discovered that the world was too big. Even the Great Qin Nation was bigger than he imagined. In the Great Qin Nation, aside from the imperial capital and the royal residence in the north, there were also the Dongming Province, Shihe Province, and Nanling Province. Each province governed 3 prefectures, and each prefecture had 7 counties. Furthermore, the area of each prefecture was half the size of the land of Xiaochen's previous life. It was easy to imagine how big the Great Qin Nation was. The Mo city that Xiaochen was in was just an extremely ordinary small city. Above it were the Chizi County, the Hunluo Province, and the Dongming Province. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion was located in the Shihe Province. One was in the east while the other was in the west. They were separated by several tens of thousands of kilometers. Xiaochen had already been out for 2 months. Along the way, he found out that the Heavenly Saber Pavilion would conduct a unified entrance test every October. The requirements for the test were very strict. Xiaochen calculated the time. It was currently July. There were still 3 months before the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's entrance test. Hence, he planned to undergo experiential training for 3 months before going to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. This was to prevent himself from being eliminated and having to wait until the next October to take the test again. This Whitewater City was one of the prefectures of the Sishui Province. It was located at the edge of the Dongming Province. After leaving the city, it would be the holy land of experiential training, Savage Forest. It was also relatively close to the Shihe Province. Hence, Xiaochen chose this Whitewater City as his experiential training location. Tong, tong, tong. Footsteps could be heard coming from the stairs of the 2nd floor. A group of people walked up to the 2nd floor, chatting and laughing. After that, they continued to the 3rd floor. When the cultivators on the 2nd floor saw who it was, they all stopped talking. The previously noisy floor instantly became very quiet. Everyone lowered their heads and quietly ate their food. Among the group of people, there was a handsome man dressed in embroidered clothes. He was very satisfied with the scene on the 2nd floor. He said something to a girl beside him in a low voice. The girl did not have any expression on her face. She politely replied to the other party's words and did not express any preference. Just at this moment, her eyes lit up. She saw Xiaochen sitting by the window and the spirit fox beside him. She stopped walking with interest. The color in her eyes became more and more intense. She slowly walked towards Xiaochen's table. Her steps were light and graceful. "Friend, are you selling this spirit beast?" The girl observed the spirit fox for a long time. Finally, she could not help but ask. Her voice was clear and melodious. It was very pleasant to listen to, and one could not help but want to agree to her request. Xiao Chun had noticed this group of people long ago. He raised his head and looked at the girl carefully. He praised her in his heart. This girl was dressed in a green dress. Her facial features were picturesque. She had white teeth and bright eyes. She had an apricot face and peach cheeks. Coupled with her exquisite green dress, she gave off a refreshing feeling of a fairy. However, Xiao Chun had seen many beauties before. The elegant Feng Feishue, who was like a fairy at dawn, the gentle and moving Xiao Yulan, who was as pure as ice and as clean as jade, were not inferior to this girl. As for the absolute beauty, the devastatingly beautiful Yuang, there was no need to even compare. Xiao Chun quickly withdrew his gaze from the girl. He said indifferently, "If you really understood, you would not have said anything about selling or not selling. You may leave." The girl's heart trembled. She thought that Xiao Chun might reject her. However, she did not expect him to reject her so directly, not giving her any face at all. She was stunned for a moment before she smiled apologetically. "I was indeed rude. I underestimated the relationship between brother and this spirit beast. However, does brother really not have any intention of selling it? As long as you tell me what you want, I will definitely think of a way to exchange it." What big words! Xiao Chun smiled coldly in his heart. This girl was obviously not simple. She could tell that Bai's bloodline was the descendant of a six-tailed spirit fox. It was a natural rank 6 spirit beast. Once it matured, it would become a strong martial king expert. In Dongming province, martial king experts were people that the big clans would do their best to rope in. In fact, in the eyes of some people, the number of martial kings in a clan was a direct indicator of how strong the clan was. Xiao Chun guessed that she must have seen that he was only a superior grade martial disciple. Hence, she thought that he had obtained this spirit fox by chance and did not know its value. She wanted to take advantage of it. After thinking this through, Xiao Chun put down the wooden sculpture in his hand. He had a radiant smile on his face as he said, "Do you mean what you say? As long as I say it, you will be able to do it?" When the girl saw that Xiao Chun's tone had softened, she rejoiced in her heart. She smiled and said, "Of course I will. As long as you say it, I will definitely be able to do it." Her tone was a little arrogant. However, she felt that Xiao Chun was just a mere superior grade martial disciple. His standards would not be very high. With the strength of her clan, they would definitely be able to satisfy Xiao Chun's needs. Xiao Chun's face was filled with sincerity. He said in an extremely serious tone, "Then give me a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. How about it? It's a fair trade. Neither party will suffer a loss." The girl's expression turned cold. She knew that Xiao Chun was making fun of her. She looked at Xiao Chun meaningfully and did not say anything as she slowly retreated. "Brat, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. It is your fortune that Miss Duanmu wants to buy something from you. Yet, you still dare to speak such arrogant words. Are you seeking death?" Behind the man in embroidered clothes, a person dressed like a servant said to Xiao Chun fiercely. When the girl heard these words, she frowned slightly. It was clear that she was unhappy. The man in embroidered clothes knew that his servant's bootlicking had gone too far. He quickly stopped him. He turned his head and said to Xiao Chun, "I am Jiang Muheng. If you change your mind, you can come to the Jiang clan to look for me at any time. Miss Duanmu, let's go up first. Young Master Hua and the others are still waiting for us on the 4th floor." The group of people left Xiao Chun's dining table and headed for the 4th floor. Xiao Chun extended out his spiritual sense and slowly followed the footsteps of this group of people. "When you go back, check on that brat's background. If he does not have any background, then snatch the spirit fox for me. It is rare to see something that Miss Duanmu likes." "Young master, can I kill someone?" "Up to you. However, you have to handle this matter beautifully. I do not want Miss Duanmu to have any doubts." "I know. Young master, just wait for me tomorrow morning. I can squash a superior grade martial cultivator to death with one hand." When this group of people went up to the 4th floor, Jiang Muheng immediately pulled his servant to a corner and told him his plan. However, he did not expect that Xiao Chun had already noticed that he was not telling the truth. Xiao Chun recorded everything he said with his spiritual sense. Chapter 90. It's over. This youth offended the Duanmu clan's Mississippi. He probably won't be able to live. Offending the Duanmu clan might not be a big deal, but the eldest son of the Jiang clan has to be careful. He caused Duanmuking to be humiliated in the Jiang clan's territory. Jiang Muheng will definitely not let him off. This youth is definitely a foreigner. He actually offended the top noble clan of Sishui Prefecture and the top noble clan of Whitewater City at the same time. Furthermore, he only has the cultivation of a superior grade martial disciple. He definitely won't live past tomorrow night. The cultivators on the second floor had witnessed the earlier incident. After the group of people left, they looked at Xiao Chun and shook their heads while sighing. Xiao Chun did not mind. He smiled faintly and continued to carve the wooden sculpture in his hands. When he finished the last step, he blew on the wood shavings in satisfaction. Bai, who was at the side, did not know what had happened. He raised his head and looked around. When he saw nothing interesting, he continued to eat his fish porridge happily. Bang! Bang! On the second floor, a fatso dressed in jewels walked over to Xiao Chun. His plump body made loud noises as he walked on the wooden floor. It made people worry if he would create a hole in the floor. He walked over with a smile. The eyes on his plump face were now curved slits. He was supposed to be smiling, but his face looked wretched no matter how one looked at it. Friend, can we sit down and have a drink? After he spoke, he did not wait for Xiao Chun to agree. He sat down and smiled. Friend, you are really a straightforward person. You agreed so quickly. His fingers were filled with all sorts of rings. There were jadeite, white jade, gold, everything that one could think of. He held a folding fan made of gold in his right hand, which matched his jeweled clothes. He was dressed up like a nouveau riche. It was as tacky as one could imagine. It was extremely tacky. Xiao Chun picked up his wine cup and took a sip. He did not mind that Fatso had come uninvited. He smiled and said, "Are you here to buy this spirit fox as well?" That Fatso opened his golden folding fan and waved it elegantly. It was a pity that his appearance was as strange as one could imagine. If Feng Feishue, who was holding the folding fan, saw this Fatso, would she kill him with a slap? Thinking of this, Xiao Chun could not help but smile. Fatso shook it violently a few times, as though he had sensed something. He then slowly answered Xiao Chun's question. I am not that stupid. Although that girl from the Duanmu clan could tell the bloodline of this spirit beast, she could not tell that this spirit beast already had a blood contract. As long as you don't die, even if the spirit fox is bought by someone, it will come back on its own. Whoever buys it is a fool. Xiao Chun was startled. This Fatso's eyesight was not ordinary. He could not help but ask seriously, I have not asked for your great name. When Fatso saw that his words had shocked Xiao Chun, he smiled complacently. The fats on his face jiggled. Xiao Chun was alarmed when he saw this. He was afraid that the fats would fall off. Haha, my name is Jean de Bao. How is it? Isn't this name domineering? My father named me Jinda or something. I thought it was tacky, so I added the word Bao. Xiao Chun sweated profusely in his heart. Jinda, Kim Taeho. They are indeed father and son. He forced a smile and said, Haha, brother Jean, this name is indeed domineering. Kim Taeho was very satisfied with Xiao Chun's performance. He smiled and said, Brother, stop wasting time. You should tell me your name as well. The moment I saw you, I felt that we were fated. Xiao Chun. Kim Taeho rubbed his chin and muttered in a soft voice, Xiao Chun, this name sounds familiar. Never mind, let's not think about it. It's giving me a headache. Brother Xiao, to be honest, I am very interested in the wooden sculpture in your hands. I wonder if you can let me play with it? After Xiao Chun spoke, he casually waved his right hand, and the wooden sculpture on the table immediately flew into his hand. Xiao Chun was startled again. He carefully recalled Kim Taeho's earlier actions. If I know what he is thinking, I have some confidence in stopping him and preventing him from obtaining the wooden sculpture. Xiao Chun continuously calculated in his heart. However, after countless calculations, the result was always 0. This Fatso's speed did not seem fast, but it gave off a very natural feeling. It looked very casual, as if a friend had said hello to you, and then taken away your things in a very normal manner. However, this was all a facade and a cover-up. If he did not want you to know, you might not even be able to guess that it was him who took the item. Kim Tae-ho was only an inferior grade martial master. However, at this moment, Xiao Chun was on his guard. He listed Kim Tae-ho as an extremely horrifying person in his heart. Kim Tae-ho continuously rubbed the wooden sculpture in his hand. There was a smile in his eyes. It was as disgusting as one could imagine, like a boar in heat. Aside from this, Xiao Chun could not find any other words to describe it. Xiao Chun could not bear to watch any longer. He snatched the wooden sculpture away. He was afraid that if this fatso continued to rub it, the wooden sculpture might really be ground flat. Damn. Xiao Chun held it in his hand and took a look. Yu Ying's chest area had already been ground flat. Her bra could no longer be seen. Xiao Chun was speechless. How disgusting must he be to do this? Kim Tae-ho realized his loss of composure, but there was no shame on his face. He laughed before looking at Xiao Chun in a wretched manner. I did not expect Brother Xiao to be a kindred spirit. You actually managed to carve the goddess in my heart so realistically. Even more realistic than a real person. Are you selling this wooden sculpture? I'm hungry. This one doesn't seem to be working anymore. Carve another one for me. I will use an earth-ranked spirit weapon to exchange for it. I, Kim Tae-ho, have always been a man of my words. I will not cheat anyone when I do business. I will not be like a little girl who treats you like a fool. If I carve another one, you will grind it until not even dregs remain, Xiao Chun thought to himself. He looked at the wooden carving with its chest ground flat. When he thought of Fatty Jin's sweat on it, Xiao Chun suddenly felt disgusted. He threw the wooden sculpture in his hand out of the window. After that, he shot out a strand of purple flame, shattering the wooden sculpture in the air into countless pieces. After fiercely wiping his hands, Xiao Chun felt that the disgusting feeling was slightly better. My goddess! Fatso cried out in surprise. He rushed out of the window and looked at the wooden shards in the air. His face revealed an incomparably sorrowful and heartbroken expression. Xiao Chun could not be bothered with him. He left behind a banknote and prepared to leave this place. Brother Xiao, don't go. Don't be in such a rush to leave. Fatso was just outside the window. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Xiao Chun. He had a smile on his face as he held on to Xiao Chun tightly. Xiao Chun wanted to shake off Kim Tae-ho's hand, but he discovered that this fellow was extraordinarily heavy. Without using his essence, he could not budge Fatso at all. Helpless, Xiao Chun could only stop and say, Don't think that I'll carve that wooden sculpture for you. I will not agree to it. Kim Tae-ho said with a face full of smiles, It's fine, it's fine. Even if business fails, there is still benevolence. I saw that you were fated, so I would like to treat you to a drink. Let's go to the 4th floor. My treat. Fatso said boldly as he patted his chest. Xiao Chun could not do anything after being pestered. He said, We will only drink and not talk. We will leave after we finish drinking. Kim Tae-ho giggled and let go. He said, Sure. Come, let's go to the 4th floor. It's more peaceful there. Xiao Chun followed him slowly up the stairs. What made Xiao Chun surprised was that when the Liushang Pavilion cultivators guarding the 3rd floor saw Fatso, they all had respectful expressions on their faces. Just like that, they walked to the 4th floor without any obstructions. The 4th floor of Liushang Pavilion was different from what Xiao Chun had imagined. The decorations were very simple. There were no gorgeous decorations. The simple decorations did not give one a dull and monotonous feeling. Instead, it made one feel refreshed and at ease. Ding dong! Ding dong! Behind a screen on the 4th floor came the melodious sound of a zither. It was like an oriole leaving the valley, or a swallow returning to its nest. At one moment, it was noisy like heavy rain. At the next, it was like whispering. At first, it seemed like it was spouting thunder and wind, but at the same time, it seemed like it was moaning. The sound of the zither was so beautiful that even Xiao Chun, who did not understand music, felt intoxicated. The melodious sound of the zither, coupled with the elegant decorations of the 4th floor, caused one to unknowingly become intoxicated. Xiao Chun praised. The decorations of the 4th floor are very ingenious and extremely elegant. They must have been arranged by an expert. When Kim Tae-ho heard this, he felt very pleased. He confidently flung open the folding fan made of gold and waved it a few times. He smiled and said, "I am untalented, but Brother Xiao praised me. The decorations of the 4th floor were done by me. All the branches of Liushang Pavilion in the nation have such decorations." Xiaochen was speechless. He did not dare to associate the atmosphere of the 4th floor with fatso. After a long time he said, "Pretend I never said anything." Under Kim Tae-ho's guidance, the two of them found a table near the railings. The view of this place was very wide. They could clearly see the people coming and going on the streets. "Waiter, bring 2 jugs of good wine, a few dishes to go with the wine, and a bowl of fish porridge," Kim Tae-ho immediately called out loudly after he sat down. Liushang Pavilion's efficiency in serving food was very high. In a short while, the waiter had brought all the dishes and wine over. A bowl of fragrant fish porridge was placed in front of Kim Tae-ho. When Bai smelled the fragrance, he immediately leaped onto the table and walked towards the fish porridge. Kim Tae-ho felt that it was interesting and stretched out his hand to rub Bai's head. With a gentle flash, Bai avoided Kim Tae-ho's fat hand. He used his claws to slowly push the fish porridge toward Xiaochen. In the end, he even rolled his eyes at Kim Tae-ho. After being looked down upon by Bai, Kim Tae-ho smiled awkwardly. He took a sip of wine and said to Xiaochen, "Brother Xiaochen, you really have a pair of wonderful hands. I have a plan to get rich. As long as brother is willing to cooperate, you will be able to get rich immediately." Xiaochen nodded his head with some interest. "I'd like to hear the details." Kim Fatso chuckled and moved closer to Xiaochen's ear in a wretched manner. He whispered his plan to him. After Xiaochen heard it, he could not help but smile bitterly. "I discovered that not only are you fat, your guts are also extraordinarily fat." Kim Fatso chuckled. "As long as you don't say anything, and I don't say anything, no one will know it was done by the two of us." Just as Xiaochen was about to reject, a manservant ran over and said to Xiaochen, "Dear guest, the guests at that table want you to go over." Looking in the direction of his finger, Xiaochen saw that the group of people the manservant was talking about was Jiang Muheng, Duan Muking, and the others. Chapter 91. You want me to go over just because you say so? Xiaochen smiled coldly in his heart. What do you take me for? Xiaochen originally did not want to bother with him. However, when he saw the manservant not leaving, he asked, "Who told you to pass the message?" The manservant replied honestly, "The first young master of the Jiang clan. Young master Jiang Muheng said that he wants you to go over and drink some wine. He said that he wants to introduce you to his friend." Xiaochen picked up his wine cup and drained it in one gulp. He said indifferently, "Tell him to come over himself. To be honest, I do not know him." The manservant revealed a difficult expression, not knowing what to do. If he passed the message like that, the people opposite him would not give him a good attitude. They were not people that could be offended. Jean Fatso smiled. "Since when did the people of Liushang Pavilion lose their backbone? Pass the message according to this brother's words. Do not change the words." Since Jean Fatso had spoken, the manservant could only do as he was told helplessly. This Fatso does not have any good intentions. He is helping me on the surface, but he is secretly trying to incite conflict between me and the other party. Xiaochen thought to himself. However, he did not mind. Since Jiang Muheng did not respect him, there was no need for him to look down on him. Jean Fatso picked up his wine cup and clinked it with Xiaochen's. "Brother Xiao, you are really bold. Do you know what kind of people they are?" Xiaochen said indifferently, "I would like to hear the details." Jean Fatso picked up his wine cup and pointed to one of them. "That is Duan Muking. His clan is the #1 noble clan in Sishui Prefecture, one of the 3 great powers in Dongming Province. He has an innate bloodline, and his martial spirit is the ice crystal phoenix. It has been passed down for thousands of years." The man sitting on his right is called Hua Yunfei. The Hua noble clan is also one of the 3 great powers in Dongming Province. The martial spirit of his clan is a surging holy river. However, his martial spirit has mutated, and the holy river has turned into a horrifying river of blood. The last one is even more terrifying. He is the last disciple of the Misty Sword Sect's sect master, Chu Chaoyan. There is no need for me to introduce the Misty Sword Sect. It is an existence comparable to a holy land. However, the most troublesome thing is not these people, but that brat called Jiang Muheng. In this Whitewater city, the Bai clan is the most powerful. As the saying goes, it is easier to deal with the king of hell than the little ghosts. You embarrassed him in front of this group of people. In the end, Kim Tae-ho chuckled twice. His meaning was self-evident. Xiao Chen understood the consequences of offending a villain. However, he had the ability to protect himself, so he was not afraid. However, he was a little confused as to why the younger generation of the three great powers of Dongming province had all come to this Whitewater city. Xiao Chen asked, "You should know what this group of people is here for, right?" Jin Fatso fanned himself a few times with a look of understanding. He smiled and said, "There is no point in telling you. Aside from Jiang Muheng, this group of people have all surpassed the martial master realm. They are all martial grandmasters. With your cultivation realm, it is best if you do not know." Jin Fatso only said half of what he wanted to say. It was clear he wanted to entice Xiao Chen to continue asking. After that, he pretended to be in a difficult position, and had no choice but to tell Xiao Chen. He wanted Xiao Chen to owe him a favor. Although Xiao Chen was curious, it was not to the point where he needed to know. Furthermore, this Fatso was obviously not an ordinary person. Thinking of the plan he mentioned, Xiao Chen felt that it was better not to have any dealings with this person. Who knows, he might be killed by him without even knowing it. Seeing that Bai no longer wanted to move after eating, Xiao Chen smiled faintly in his heart, and prepared to take his leave. Just as Xiao Chen was about to speak, Jiang Muheng led two servants over with a gloomy expression. "This brother, do you dare to report your name?" Xiao Chen took a glance behind him, and discovered that the people at the opposite table had already finished eating. Du Anmuking and the other two had already left. After thinking for a while, he guessed Jiang Muheng's motive. Since the main character had already left, there was no need for Jiang Muheng to continue maintaining his demeanor. Seeing that Xiao Chen did not immediately answer Jiang Muheng's question, a cultivator behind him pointed at Xiao Chen and said, "Are you very arrogant? Our young master wants you to go over for a drink, yet you do not give him face. Who do you think you are? You don't even care about the Whitewater City's Jiang clan." Xiao Chen stood up and clenched his right hand into a fist. The purple light was withdrawn and he did not waste any time speaking nonsense, or using any fancy moves. He simply punched the servant's chest. There was a loud boom, and the purple light exploded out. The huge force sent the servant flying. His hands kept grabbing wildly in the air, but he could not grab anything. Bang! The servant landed on a wooden table, and the wooden table immediately broke into two. However, the huge force did not weaken at all. That servant continued to roll on the ground. Finally, he crashed into the wall and vomited a mouthful of blood before fainting. Xiao Chen wiped his hands and looked at the dumbfounded Jiang Muheng. He smiled faintly and said, "Sorry, when a dog barks, I only use my fists and not my mouth. Now, I will answer your question. I am called Xiao Chen Grasshead Morning. Goodbye." After Xiao Chen spoke, he leaped over the railing of the fourth floor and jumped down. When the spirit fox at the table saw Xiao Chen leave, it quickly followed suit. When Xiao Chen saw Bai jump down as well, he was startled. His body paused in midair before he turned around and hugged the spirit fox. He scolded, "I jumped and you jumped as well. Are you not afraid of falling to your death?" Xiao Chen, who was hugging the spirit fox, took a deep breath and leaped into the air. He landed on the roof of a house by the side of the street. In a single leap, he covered a distance of 100 meters. After that, he leaped a few more times and disappeared from everyone's sight. "Brother Xiao, you still have not told me if you agreed to my plan," Jin Fatso shouted at the distant Xiao Chen as he leaned on the railing. Jiang Muheng punched the table where Xiao Chen was drinking wine earlier. The wooden table immediately shattered into 4 pieces. The bowls and plates on the table fell to the ground, clanging nonstop. When the customers on the 4th floor saw the situation, they no longer had any desire to continue eating. They threw down a stack of silver notes and paid their bills before leaving. Jiang Muheng stood in his original spot with an ashen expression. As he watched Xiao Chen leave, his eyes were filled with rage. He had never seen such an arrogant person in Whitewater City before. He actually dared to injure his men in front of him. Then he calmly reported his name and left. The people on the 4th floor were all reputable people in Whitewater City. After tomorrow, the entire Whitewater City would probably laugh at him. First, young master, you have to take revenge for me. The servant in the corner woke up in a daze. He was not sure of the current situation. He trembled as he walked to Jiang Muheng's side. Bang! Jiang Muheng was currently in a fit of rage. He raised his leg and kicked the servant flying again. He scolded him viciously. Trash! You have completely thrown away the face of this young master. Jiang Muheng turned around and was about to leave. He wanted to use the spies in his family to quickly find out where Xiao Chen lived. He could not wait to tear Xiao Chen's corpse into 10,000 pieces. Young Master Jiang, wait a moment. It seems like you have not paid your bill yet. Jin Fatso blocked Jiang Muheng with a smile. Jiang Muheng could not be bothered with him. He took out a stack of silver notes and threw them on the ground. Jin Fatso rolled his eyes and smiled. Young Master Jin, this amount doesn't seem right. Look, you broke 2 of my tables and even chased away all the customers on the 4th floor. 3,000 taels of silver is not enough. Jiang Muheng looked at Kim Taeho with disdain. He took out a few more gold notes and threw them on the ground. After that, he stomped on them and scolded. That's enough, damn fatso. Kim Taeho looked at the gold notes on the ground, and a smile blossomed on his face. He squinted his eyes and said, That's enough, that's enough. Young Master Jiang is indeed young Master Jiang. This is not an ordinary kind of spending. Take care, I won't send you off. Drink to your heart's content next time. Look at this mouth of mine. When I'm happy, I start to tremble. Don't be angry. I meant to welcome young Master Jiang back for a meal next time. Kim Taeho did not mind Jiang Muheng's mockery. He squatted down and smiled as he picked up the silver notes on the ground. Every time he picked up a note, the expression on his face became more intoxicated. Young master, let me pick them up. This is such an embarrassing thing. It is not befitting of your status. A manservant from Liushang Pavilion said as he could not stand it anymore. Kim Taeho pushed the manservant away and said, Go to the side. Can't you see this lord is having a good time picking them up? Not everyone is like this Lord Jin, who can afford to lose 10,000 taels of silver for 2 tables. Haha. It was unknown when the zither music on the 4th floor had stopped. A girl in pink walked out from behind the screen, carrying a zither. She did not put on any makeup. Her hair was tied up in a bun and fixed with a hairpin. Her face was as white as snow and looked very delicate. She looked very pure. However, as she walked over leisurely, she naturally revealed a flirtatious expression. She was very charming and alluring, looking very delicate and alluring. When Jin Fatso saw this girl, he immediately stopped picking up the money and rushed over. If Xiao Chun were here, he would definitely sigh like a pig in heat. Miss Xiao Xiao, I did not expect you to be here as well. Debao missed you so much. Jin Fatso's fat body was moving very quickly. He spread his arms wide and rushed towards the girl in front of him. Even Xiao Chen would feel ashamed if he saw this speed. Dang! The 7-string zither in Xiao Xiao's arms moved forward gently and pressed against Fatso's chin. Jin Fatso immediately covered his mouth in pain and squatted on the ground. Xiao Xiao hugged the zither and looked at Fatso on the ground. She smiled coldly and said, Jin Fatso, you really can't change your ways. You always do this. Jin Fatso stood up with a smile. Unfortunately, his chin was already swollen. When he smiled, he looked very wretched. Now when he smiled again, the word wretched was used to the extreme. Fortunately, you are this fat lord. My teeth are hard. Otherwise, every time you poke me like this fat lord's teeth would have fallen out long ago. After Jin Fatso stood up, he smiled without blushing. As he spoke, he unknowingly walked to Xiao Xiao's side. His fat hand was about to place on her shoulder. Xiao Xiao was looking in the direction Xiao Chen had left in. She did not seem to notice Fatso's actions. Fatty's heartbeat suddenly sped up several times. Seeing another goddess in his heart standing in front of him, and finally being able to touch her, the fat on his face couldn't help but tremble a few times. Ooh! Xiao Xiao suddenly turned around. The seemingly ordinary zither in her arms carried a strong wind as it smashed towards Fatso's face. Fatso was startled. He quickly lowered his head and dodged. Seeing Xiao Xiao glaring at him angrily, Fatso straightened his body and smiled. He said, "This is purely involuntary. Every time I see Miss Xiao Xiao, I feel an impulse. This is a normal physiological reaction of a man. Miss Xiao Xiao, please don't mind." "Impulse my ass. How can there be someone as shameless as you?" Xiao Xiao cursed Fatso in her heart 10,000 times. However, she knew how thick-skinned Fatso was. The more she scolded him, the more cocky he would become. The best way was to ignore him. Xiao Xiao found a clean table and sat down. She said, "Damn you, Fatso. What is your relationship with that youth?" When Fatso heard this, he was stunned. He said very seriously, "Could it be that I, your brother Jean, am not enough to satisfy you? Xiao Xiao, your appetite is too big." Fuck. This time, Xiao Xiao could not bear it any longer. She slapped the zither and it flew into the air, creating a shockwave as it flew towards Fatso. Chapter 92. Fatso knew the origins of this zither, so he did not dare to clash head-on with it. He nimbly dodged to the side, displaying a speed that did not match his figure. The zither's momentum did not stop. With a loud boom, it pierced a hole the size of a bowl in the wooden wall of Liushang Pavilion. The wood of Liushang Pavilion's walls was made of 100-year-old peak-quality sandalwood. A single piece of wood was worth thousands of gold. Fatso looked at the huge hole and felt his heart bleeding. He ran to the front of the hole and gestured with his hands, trying to calculate how much money he had lost. "Damn. I have lost half of the banknotes I just picked up." Fatso cried out in pain after he gestured. Boom. The zither that had already flown out flew back with a schwa sound. This time, the force behind it was even greater. Another hole appeared in the wooden wall. Fatso felt an incomparable pain in his heart as he cried out involuntarily, "It's over. I have lost another half. I have not earned a single cent today." The zither returned to Su Xiaoxiao's hands. She sat on the long bench with her eyes closed, revealing an intoxicated expression. Her hands gently caressed the zither. Ding! She suddenly opened her eyes and quickly plucked the strings of the zither with both hands. A passionate tune of a powerful army fighting on the battlefield suddenly sounded. The pitch gradually rose, and in an instant, it made people feel as if their blood was boiling on the battlefield. Tong! 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 Sound waves spread out in all directions along with the sound of the zither. Fatso thought to himself, "It's over. This granddaddy's mouth has caused trouble again." Just as he thought to himself, all the antique porcelain decorations on the 4th floor started to shatter. None of them could avoid it. Finally, the sound of the zither grew louder, and the killing intent became heavier. Aside from Su Xiaoxiao's table, everything else on the 4th floor flew into the air. Bang! Su Xiaoxiao ended the song heavily, and all the wooden tables and chairs in the air shattered. Countless wooden shavings danced in the air, and only after a long time did they slowly fall to the ground. Fatso's face, which had always been full of smiles, was now devoid of any color. His face was deathly pale, as if he could fall down at any time. It was extremely funny. A manservant at the side quickly supported him and whispered, "Young master, don't be too distressed. The shopkeeper knew that Miss Su Xiaoxiao was coming and guessed that you would make her angry, so he changed all the antiques to fake ones." Fatso's eyes moved, and he said, "Really, this guy knows me too well." "It's true." When Jean Fatso heard this, he immediately became spirited. The smile on his face was restored, but then he said bitterly, "The others are fake, but these 2 holes, no matter what, can't be fake. It's still a loss." "Damn Fatso, get over here." After doing all this, Su Xiaoxiao felt better. She put away the zither and cursed. Jean Fatso no longer had any temper. He quickly jogged over and said with a smile, "Miss Xiaoxiao, what instructions do you have for me? This fat brother promises to satisfy you." Su Xiaoxiao frowned slightly and glared at him. What is your relationship with that youth from earlier? Fatso no longer dared to talk back. He said honestly, I just met him today. I want to do business with him. I only know that he is called Xiaochen. I am not sure about anything else. Xiaochen? When Su Xiaoxiao heard this name, she thought of a possibility. A smile immediately appeared on her face. This casual smile was like a flower blooming. It was very beautiful. Fatso was stunned when he saw this. When Su Xiaoxiao saw Fatso's silly expression, she could not help but feel disdain in her heart. She asked again, how much do you know about the ancient ruins that the Bai clan mentioned? Uncle Jean recovered his wits and said, I know a little. The Bai clan obtained a treasure map of the ancient ruins. However, they do not have the strength to enter. So they invited the three major powers of Dongming province to explore the ancient ruins together. However, I don't know who in the Bai clan leaked the news. Now this news has been made known to everyone. The big forces in Shihe and Nanling have all sent people here. Even the prince's mansion has sent people here. Su Xiaoxiao was astonished in her heart. The attraction of the ancient ruins left behind by the ancient humans was too great. It looked like it would not be easy to get involved in this mess. Whitewater City, Western District, within an independent courtyard. There was a wooden staff in the courtyard. Xiaochen held the lunar shadow saber and focused on the wooden staff in front of him. His aura was at its peak. Qi. Drawing the saber. Xiaochen's eyes suddenly narrowed. He drew the lunar shadow saber and hacked at the wooden staff. The wooden staff, which was as thick as an arm, was shaved off. Shua, shua, shua. Xiaochen quickly hacked 3 more times. When the 4th strike landed, the wooden staff shook a few times before falling to the ground. After just 4 simple strikes, Xiaochen's forehead was covered in sweat. Wiping his sweat, Xiaochen muttered, It's still not working. It has already been half a month, and there is no progress. Xiaochen had bought this independent courtyard after he arrived in Whitewater City. After he settled down, he went to Whitewater City. After he settled down, he immediately started to organize all the martial techniques and cultivation techniques he had learned since he came to this world. In the end, he discovered that the things he knew were too complicated. He decided to refine his martial techniques. He was not in a rush to return to the realm of superior grade martial disciple. He might as well use this opportunity to refine his foundations. The martial skills derived from the Battle Sage Origins changing character formula were temporarily put aside by him. The true essence of the Battle Sage Origins changing character formula. Until now he had not truly understood it. He could only imitate the surface of it, and was unable to make it a part of his body. After using it for a long time, he discovered that with his current realm, the disadvantages were greater than the advantages. In the long run, he would completely lose himself and be lost in these external martial techniques. Thus, he focused on researching the Rushing Thunder Saber technique and the Blue Dragon Cloud Soaring art. The Blue Dragon Cloud Soaring art had always been practiced in a secluded place in Savage Forest. The Rushing Thunder Saber technique did not have a high requirement for a place to practice it. Thus, whenever he came back to rest, he would practice it in the courtyard. The Rushing Thunder Saber technique focused on completing it in one breath, condensing one's aura to the extreme before using the Rushing Thunder Chop to release all the accumulated energy from the previous moves in an explosive manner. This was a very ferocious martial technique. If he could completely execute the Rushing Thunder Triple Chain Chop, he would be able to bring out this explosive power to the extreme. It would increase by many times, and in the end, it could even surpass a regular Earth-ranked martial technique. However, he discovered that this saber technique had a fatal flaw. If the first move, drawing the saber, was unable to force the enemy back, then there was no need to execute all the moves after that. If one's aura was exhausted, how could one execute a move? Xiaochen thought back to the ancient times of China, where some bladesmen practiced their saber techniques. He felt that it made sense, so he brought it to this world and started to practice it. This upright stick looked as thick as an arm, but it was actually very light. It was a special kind of wood in the Tianwu continent. As long as one had the strength of a feather, they would be able to push it down. What Xiao Chen needed to do was to quickly draw his saber in an extremely short amount of time. In the situation where he had shaved off a part of the stick still did not fall. This seemingly simple strike actually exhausted a large amount of mental energy. In the month that he had been in Whitewater City, Xiao Chen had spent most of it practicing the first move of the rushing thunder saber technique, drawing the saber. Every day he would swing his saber no less than 1,000 times. At first, when he touched the stick, it would fall. Slowly, he would be able to send out one saber strike. Now he could send out 4 saber strikes in a row. After that, he remained stagnant. Shaking his head, Xiao Chen straightened the stick again, and continued to practice the first move of the rushing thunder saber technique. Unknowingly, the sun had already set in the west. Streaks of red light dyed the sky a fiery red. The setting sun dyed the entire sky red. Xiao Chen continued to repeat the same actions without stopping. He did not know fatigue, nor did he know how much time had passed. Only when the sky turned completely dark did Xiao Chen stop what he was doing. His clothes were completely drenched in sweat, and he felt his arms aching. Xiao Chen did not immediately rest. He sat cross-legged on the ground and entered a state of cultivation. When one's body reached its limit, cultivating it again would result in unexpected results. After an hour, Xiao Chen had circulated the purple thunder divine incantation in his body a few times. Suddenly he opened his eyes. All the sweat on his body had already evaporated. His blood was boiling, and the aching pain in his arms had completely disappeared. Xiao Chen got up and took a deep breath. He stretched his arms, and all the bones in his body gave off crackling sounds. A comfortable feeling entered Xiao Chen's mind. Wenbai, who had been standing on the stone table, saw that Xiao Chen had finished cultivating. It quickly jumped down and ran into his embrace. Its eyes, which were filled with spirituality, gave off a faint glow in the night. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and picked it up. After playing with it for a while, he stored it in the spirit blood jade. Just as Xiao Chen was preparing to return to his room to sleep, a faint killing intent came from a distance. Xiao Chen frowned and extended his spiritual sense in the direction of the source of the killing intent. In the middle of the night, there was a figure holding a broad saber in his hand. He was leaping around the roofs, heading towards Xiao Chen's courtyard. When Xiao Chen saw this person's face, he smiled coldly in his heart. This person was Jiang Muheng's other servant, the one who boasted that he could kill Xiao Chen with one slap. The Jiang clan was indeed very powerful in Whitewater City. In less than half a day, they actually managed to find his residence. It looked like he could not stay here for long. Seeing the figure getting closer, Xiao Chen slowly stood at the corner of the courtyard. He withdrew his aura, and the black lunar shadow saber in his hand did not have any luster in the night. Dong! The figure landed firmly on the wall of Xiao Chen's courtyard from the roofs. He was not in a rush to get down. Instead, he released his perception. Strangely, he did not feel anyone in the courtyard. He muttered to himself. Could the information be wrong? That can't be. It should be that the brat has not returned yet. I will go down and lie in ambush. Drawing the saber. In the instant he jumped down, there was a resplendent electric light in the dark night. A saber light carrying an unparalleled aura was extremely fast. Before he could react, it chopped his body in half. This saber was incredibly fast. His body that was chopped in half did not immediately split apart in midair. He did not even feel any pain. Chapter 93. After he landed on the ground, his legs carried his lower body. Using the momentum from the jump, he ran for a few meters. After an instant, his face revealed a horrified expression. He stared blankly at his legs that were running in front of him. He turned his head and saw Xiao Chen's cold eyes the instant the electric light disappeared. Xiao Chen shot out a strand of purple flame and burned the corpse on the ground to ashes. After that, he went into his room to pack his things and immediately left the courtyard. Early the next morning, Xiao Chen came out of a desolate inn. He was wearing a black cloak that covered his entire body in a black shadow. He slowly walked towards Liushang Pavilion. Xiao Chen's attire was not unusual among cultivators. Hence, When he walked into Liushang Pavilion, he did not attract much attention. He casually found a table and sat down. Xiaochen called the waiter over and said, "Call your boss over for a moment. Tell him I have business to discuss with him." The waiter looked at Xiaochen and felt that it was funny. Is the boss of Liushang Pavilion someone anyone can meet? My apologies, sir. I think you might not understand our rules. Xiaochen smiled faintly and took out a banknote worth 500 taels of silver. He also took out a wooden sculpture and handed it to the waiter. Do me a favor and run some errands. When your boss sees this wooden sculpture, he should not blame you. The waiter beamed with joy as he received the banknote and placed it in his bosom. He said, "Sir is really straightforward. I will go now. However, I cannot guarantee that the boss will not see you." Xiaochen picked up the teacup on the table and gently took a sip. He smiled and said, "It's fine. You just have to let him know. Whether it succeeds or not is not your fault." Not long after the waiter left, the thumping footsteps of Kim Tae-ho could be heard coming from the second floor. When he saw Xiaochen's attire, he was slightly stunned. Then he ran over with a smile. "Brother Xiao, why are you dressed like this? Are you going to run away? If you need to escape, you can look for me. I have my ways. Just tell me where you want to go." Xiaochen didn't say anything. His right hand, which was holding the teacup, suddenly reached out and snatched the wooden carving from Fatso's hand. He put down the wooden carving and calmly caught the slowly falling teacup. Kim Taeho's eyes narrowed into a thin line as he carefully sized up Xiaochen. He was a little surprised in his heart. He didn't expect Xiaochen to act so quickly. Due to his carelessness, he actually fell for it. Xiaochen put down the teacup and said indifferently, "Brother Debao, I don't need you to worry about escaping. Today we are only talking about business. I am a straightforward person. I will only ask you one thing. Are you doing it or not?" A smile bloomed on Kim Taeho's face again. "I'll do it. Why wouldn't I?" Xiaochen said, "In that case, let's discuss the specifics of the plan. I will not carve the wooden carving that you saw last time. The wooden carving that we will be working on is the one that you saw earlier." Fatso frowned and said with some difficulty, "I say, Brother Xiao, for these two wooden carvings, the difference in price is not just 1 or 2 times that of the other without clothes. In that case, there is no other way. I have my own bottom line. I will not sell the princess in you carving that I saw wearing a bra. I will take my leave first." Xiaochen got up and headed out. Fatso quickly got up and pulled Xiaochen back. He smiled and said, "Brother Xiao, why are you in such a rush? Did I say I won't do it? It's just that we need to discuss the price. Sit down and talk. Sit down and talk." Xiaochen smiled to himself. He had already expected that this Fatso would covet this business. He had calculated that Fatso would not let him leave just like that. When dealing with such a scheming person, Xiaochen could not compete with him in scheming. He could only put on a strong front. That way, he would not be at a disadvantage. When Jean Fatso saw Xiaochen sit down again, he said, "How about this? Brother Xiao, you are a straightforward person. I will not beat around the bush. We will follow the previous plan. You will provide the goods, and I will provide the channels. After that, we will split it 30 to 70. You take 30% and I take 70%. Xiaochen thought for a while and said, "I do not like such a split. It is too slow to earn money. Just state your price. How much is it for one wooden carving?" Fatso muttered to himself for a while before saying, "How about 100 taels of gold for one wooden carving?" Xiaochen was startled. He did not expect it to be so expensive. 100 taels of gold was equivalent to 10,000 taels of silver. The cost of this wooden carving was practically negligible. This transaction was much bigger than what Xiaochen had imagined. The taels of silver he had were obtained from the Linlang Pavilion's auction for the fasting pill. Compared to the complexity of refining medicine, Xiaochen had a much easier time carving a wooden carving. In the Compendium of Cultivation, in the introduction of the life bestowal spell, there was a special record of carving a wooden carving. Xiaochen's craftsmanship came from it. In this world where martial arts were respected, there were not many people who specialized in this kind of unorthodox technique. It would not be an exaggeration to say that Xiaochen's craftsmanship was unparalleled. Originally, Xiaochen wanted to reject Fatso's plan. However, the assassination attempt last night made him feel a sense of urgency in his heart. The path of cultivation was extremely costly, not to mention expensive medicinal pills. Just good battle armor and spirit weapons required a cultivator to put in a lot of effort. Why were the disciples of the noble clans able to cultivate faster than ordinary people? One of the reasons was because of good quality medicinal pills and spirit weapons. Although Xiaochen could refine medicinal pills to earn money, he was still unable to refine high-rank medicinal pills. Furthermore, some of the medicinal ingredients required a lot of money. Furthermore, Xiaochen still needed to refine magic treasures in the future. Good materials required a lot of money, so he was actually very short of money. When Fatso saw that Xiaochen did not say anything, he thought that Xiaochen thought the price was too low. He said, "Brother Xiao, are you not satisfied with this price? I am not taking advantage of you at this price. It cannot be any higher." Xiaochen recovered his wits and smiled. "No, I am just a little surprised. How did you manage to sell this wooden carving for such a high price?" Shua. The golden folding fan in Fatso's hand suddenly opened up. Xiaochen knew that when Fatso did this, he was going to start bragging. Indeed, Fatso waved his fan fiercely a few times and smiled proudly. "Brother Xiao, you probably do not know about this. This princess's influence in the imperial capital and the king's residence is not an exaggeration at all. Not only is she extremely skilled in martial arts, she is also as beautiful as a fairy. This fat lord noticed this long ago. There is a business opportunity in this. I have already found people to write a few books for her. It can be said that every man in the imperial capital has one. Under the influence of the books, there are also all sorts of side effects. I have already thought of the idea of this wooden carving long ago. Unfortunately, I have not been able to find a suitable craftsman. Hence, when I saw Brother Xiao, I felt that we were fated. I have been searching for a talent like you for a long time already." Xiaochen sighed in his heart. This Fatso is really a genius at doing business. He actually thought of such a business method. In the end, Xiaochen suddenly thought of something. He asked probingly, "Brother Debao, are those novels of yours erotic?" Fatso smiled awkwardly. This. I can't say that they are erotic. I can only say that they are fantasy novels with some romance elements." Xiaochen blushed with shame in his heart. He knew that this Fatso would not take the proper path. He asked worriedly, "Are you not afraid of the royal court finding out about this?" Fatso smiled wretchedly and said, "There is no need to worry about this. The high-ranking official in charge of collecting these books even discussed the details of the novels with me in private. These are still serialized. If he were to confiscate all of them, he would not be able to read them." Xiaochen could not help but admire Fatso's skill. He took out the wooden carvings from the Xiao clan and handed them to Fatso. These were carved in the past. There are not many, only about 100. Name a price. Jean Fatso did not say anything. His chubby face was filled with an excited smile. He picked up the wooden carvings in his hands and inspected them carefully. On the 4th floor of Liushang Pavilion, Jiang Muheng and Duan Muqing sat alone at a table. Jiang Muheng smiled gracefully and said, "Miss Duanmu, I have already negotiated with that person yesterday about the spirit fox. My servant has already gone to collect the goods and will send them over to you immediately." Duan Muqing smiled gently. "How much did you spend on it? I will pay you double the price. I will not let you suffer a loss." It was rare to see Duan Muqing smile. The smile on Jiang Muheng's face became even wider as he said, "I did not spend much money. Miss Duanmu does not have to worry about it. As long as you like it, it is fine." Duan Muqing was slightly startled. He smiled and said, "Yesterday, that person wanted a heaven-ranked spirit beast before he was willing to sell it. Young Master Jiang, did you play some tricks?" Jiang Muheng panicked in his heart and said sternly, "Miss Duanmu, although my clan has some influence in Whitewater City, I do not normally do such things. Furthermore, if I were to play any tricks in front of Miss Duanmu, wouldn't I be looking down on the Duanmu clan?" Duan Muqing found it funny and did not say anything. The two of them continued to wait. However, after waiting for a long time, the servant that Jiang Muheng mentioned had not arrived. I think something must have happened. We will talk about this another day. I will leave first. Duan Yiqing finally lost his patience. He got up and walked down the stairs. Jiang Muheng cursed that servant in his heart. He threw down a stack of banknotes and quickly chased after Duan Yiqing. Jiang Muheng chased all the way to the second floor and finally caught up to Duan Yiqing. He quickly said in a loud voice, "Miss Duanmu, listen to my explanation." Duan Yiqing stopped and said politely, "Young Master Jiang, there is nothing to explain. It was not a big deal in the first place. You don't have to take it to heart." Seeing Duan Yiqing's expression, Jiang Muheng knew in his heart that he was in deep trouble. He could not help but feel anxious. At this moment, Jean Fatso finally finished inspecting the 100 wooden carvings. He smiled and put them away. Then he took out a stack of banknotes and handed them to Xiao Chun. "Brother Xiao, please count them." Xiao Chun put away the banknotes and stood up. "There is no need to count them. It was a pleasure working with you. I will give you more when I have more later." When he turned around, he coincidentally met Jiang Muheng's gaze. When Jiang Muheng saw the black-cloaked Xiao Chun, he revealed a look of astonishment. Xiao Chun. After the astonishment, there was boundless rage. Jiang Muheng did not expect to meet him here. His embarrassment turned into anger as he walked toward Xiao Chun. Chapter 94. Jiang Muheng did not expect to meet Xiao Chun here. When he thought of what happened yesterday and what happened just now, he could no longer hold back the anger he had suppressed for a long time. Even though Duan Muqing was beside him, Xiao Chun could not be bothered to maintain his demeanor. He only had one thought in his mind now, which was to kill Xiao Chun on the spot. He wanted to repay the humiliation that Xiao Chun had given him several times over. When Xiao Chun saw Jiang Muheng all of a sudden, he was mildly astonished. However, he quickly calmed down. Jiang Muheng did not bring any servants with him. "Young Master Jiang, we meet again." Xiao Chun had a faint smile on his face. He did not show any fear. Instead, it was as though he had met an old friend. He walked over to Jiang Muheng with a smile. Jiang Muheng cursed, "Meeting you." However, before he could finish cursing, he saw a black saber suddenly appear in Xiao Chun's hand. Xiao Chun's feet moved slightly, and he quickly got into a stance. Drawing the saber, a saber light flashed before his eyes. Jiang Muheng had never seen such a fast saber before. He had also never seen such a strong person. To think that he dared to make the first move in front of him in Whitewater City. At the critical moment, he brought out the strength of a medial-grade martial master to its limits and retreated with all his might. His extraordinary performance at the critical moment saved his life. This saber did not chop him in half. However, it still left a finger-deep wound on his chest. Blood spurted out into the air. The saber carried a huge force, sending Xiao Chun's body flying back. A large hole appeared on Jiang Muheng's chest, and a yellow drawing floated out. Xiao Chun quickly grabbed the drawing in her hands. When Jiang Muheng, who was lying on the ground, saw that Xiao Chun had obtained the drawing, he wanted to stand up. However, he discovered that the saber wound on his chest was too severe. Blood continued to flow out. He did not even have the strength to stand up. He could not help but feel anxious. He coughed out blood in the air and said loudly, "Miss Duanmu, that is a copy of the map of the ancient remnant. You must not let him obtain it." Hearing this, Duan Yiqing's face turned cold. She waved her hands and streams of cold air spread out behind her, gathering in her hands. A sharp palm imbued with cold qi chopped ruthlessly at Xiao Chun. The other party was very strong, so Xiao Chun did not dare to take it head-on. With a light tap of his toes on the ground, he soared into the air and jumped down from the second floor. Boom! The table behind Xiao Chun was immediately frozen into an ice sculpture. Then, it shattered with a loud bang, turning into countless ice shards. What a tyrannical cold qi! When the cultivators on the second floor saw this, they were shocked. They quickly paid their bills and left. They did not want to be affected by this fight. Bang! When Duan Yiqing saw Xiao Chun land on the first floor, he stomped on the wooden plank under his right foot. His figure immediately landed on the first floor and appeared beside Xiaochen. Holy shit! Is he trying to tear down the shop? Jean Fatso could not help but curse loudly when he saw the hole in the wooden plank. After Duanmuking landed, he immediately sent out a stream of cold qi at Xiaochen's back. The cold qi quickly condensed into ice in the air, turning into the shape of a small bird. Qi. Duanmuking formed a hand seal with both his hands, and the ice phoenix martial spirit in his body cried out. The eyes of the ice bird flying in the air lit up, and its size and speed instantly doubled. A dangerous aura came from behind him. Xiaochen immediately stopped, and his mind went blank. He recalled the state he was in when he practiced the saber. He was extremely focused and his right hand grasped the lunar shadow saber tightly. He instantly raised his aura to the extreme, drawing the saber. When the ice bird was only half a meter behind Xiaochen suddenly turned around and made a move. The saber light was simple and unadorned. With a schwa sound, it split the ice bird in half from the middle. The part of the body of the ice bird that was split in half by the saber was very smooth. There were no cracks or bumps at all. This showed how fast the saber was. A trace of astonishment flashed in Duanmuking's heart. There were no ripples in his limpid eyes and his expression did not change. Taking advantage of the instant Xiaochen drew his saber, Xiaochen moved and blocked the entrance of Liushang Pavilion. Most of the customers on the first floor were ordinary citizens. When they saw Xiaochen flying down from the second floor, they knew there was a fight going on. They all paid their bills and left. Duanmuking looked at Xiaochen expressionlessly and said indifferently, "Hand over the map and I will not harm your life." Xiaochen held his saber and stood upright. He smiled coldly in his heart. If an ordinary superior-grade martial disciple was struck by the ice bird, they would be severely injured, if not dead. Now that she saw him break the ice bird in one move, and said she would not harm his life, Xiaochen could only say that this girl's schemes were not ordinary. Xiaochen did not say anything. He pointed with his left hand and 5 strands of purple flames formed in the air. After they spun around, they quickly shot towards Duanmuking. Duanmuking's expression turned cold. Seeing that Xiaochen did not know what was good for him, and actually dared to make a move against her, she snorted coldly. The temperature around her dropped and a boundless cold qi rose up from the ground. When the 5 strands of purple flames met the cold qi, their speed immediately slowed down. However, what surprised Duanmuking was that the 5 strands of flames did not stop immediately. The 5 wisps of flames did not immediately stop. Instead, they slowly arched forward like small fish. Although their speed was slow, they would never retreat. With a thought from Xiaochen, the 5 strands of flames merged together and formed a huge flame. Their speed suddenly increased explosively. The cold qi in the air could no longer stop the advancement of the flames. Duanmuking's black eyes became even colder. The cold qi surrounding her started to slowly liquefy. The cold qi turned into water droplets and continuously dripped onto the wooden boards around Duanmuking. The water droplets quickly linked together and formed a hard ice. Dang, dang, dang. 3 ice walls rose up from the ice and appeared in front of Duanmuking. The purple flame smashed through the first ice wall and continued flying towards the second ice wall. Xiaochen's thoughts were as fast as lightning. After the purple flames passed through the first ice wall, he could clearly feel that the might of the flames had decreased significantly. He knew that these flames would not be able to cause any harm to Duanmuking. I will not be able to gain any advantage. I have to leave. Xiaochen made up his mind and immediately flew towards the nearest window. A superior-grade martial grandmaster against a superior-grade martial grandmaster was clearly irrational. Bang! After the purple flames smashed through the third ice wall, they immediately dissipated into the air, turning into nothingness. Duanmuking watched as Xiaochen flew away. The cold light in her eyes became even more intense and her fine black hair fluttered in the wind. "Ice!" Duanmuking shouted and her clothes fluttered. Her long skirt and fine black hair fluttered in the wind. She locked her perception on the first floor of Liushang Pavilion. An intense cold qi suddenly erupted from her body. Schwa! In the entire first floor, everything was covered in a layer of ice that was 2 feet thick. In an instant, The first floor turned into an ice palace that radiated a cold light. The originally open window was now covered in a thick layer of ice. Xiao Chen's flying figure crashed violently into the ice. There was a loud bang, but the ice did not tremble at all. Xiao Chen was knocked back to the ground by the huge recoil. The speed at which he was sent flying was extremely fast. When he crashed into the ice, he bounced back. He felt an incomparable soreness in his shoulder. Is this the power of an innate bloodline? An inherited martial spirit? Xiao Chen looked at the surroundings radiating with an icy light. He was incomparably astonished as he thought to himself, this is simply too horrifying. Duan Yiqing walked over slowly. Her fine black hair had already turned completely white. Her eyes were ice cold, without a trace of emotion. Hand over the map, and I will not harm your life, she said. With every word she said, the temperature of the ice palace dropped by a notch. The purple thunder divine incantation in Xiao Chen's body circulated rapidly, resisting the boundless cold wind in the ice palace. Just as Xiao Chen was hesitating whether to take out the map or not, Bai jumped out from the spirit blood jade and stood in front of Xiao Chen. It took a deep breath and its snow-white belly expanded slightly. It spat out a white ball of light from its mouth. Damn. When Xiao Chen saw Bai's actions, he cursed in his heart. He pushed off the ground and expended all the essence in his body. The electricity in the lunar shadow saber leaped around non-stop. Ha! Xiao Chen shouted loudly and flew towards the window. He stabbed the lunar shadow saber into the ice wall. Under Xiao Chen's full power strike, a small crack appeared on the hard ice. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen felt incomparably anxious. He withdrew his saber and clenched his fist, punching the crack violently. He finally managed to create a small hole in the hard ice wall. Xiao Chen did not care much and directly made his way out. When Duan Yiqing saw that Xiao Chen wanted to escape, a cold light flashed in her eyes. She was about to make a move. However, at this moment, the ball of light that Bai spat out had already arrived in front of her. When faced with this incomparably ordinary ball of light, Duan Yiqing did not care too much about it. She casually sent out a palm strike. How strong could the attack of a young spirit beast be? The instant Duan Yiqing's palm touched the ball of light, the ice palace lit up with a resplendent light. This light was even more dazzling than the sun. It was so dazzling that no one dared to look at it directly. Boom! The light scattered and a horrifying energy ripple spread out in all directions. In that instant, the ice palace that Duan Yiqing made instantly shattered. Boom! 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 All the pillars on the first floor of Liushang Pavilion were shattered. In the next moment, the entire Liushang Pavilion collapsed. All the buildings turned into rubble. Xiao Chen, who had just made his way out, did not have time to dodge. He was struck by the shockwave and flew into the air, vomiting a mouthful of blood. A white figure ran out from the rubble of Liushang Pavilion. Bai quickly ran to Xiao Chen. Its face was devoid of spirit. It did not have its usual cheekiness. It was dispirited and listless. Seeing it in such a state, the anger in Xiao Chen's heart dissipated significantly. He carried it in his embrace and quickly rushed forward. This was because the danger was not over yet. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense could sense a monstrous aura brewing in the rubble of Liushang Pavilion. Chi! A resonant phoenix cry resounded, reverberating throughout the entire white water city. A flowing body of ice flew out from the rubble of Liushang Pavilion and into the air. Then it turned into a huge ice phoenix. The ice phoenix flapped its wings in the air, and a horrifying perception spread out in all directions. It locked onto Xiao Chen's back and soared into the sky. In the instant that Duan Yiqing turned into the ice phoenix and flew away, a smaller figure leaped out from Liushang Pavilion. It carried a zither and leaped towards the two of them. After a long time, a dust-covered fatso stood up from the rubble while cursing. He looked at the mess that was Liushang Pavilion, which had turned into rubble. He cursed in dissatisfaction. Who did I offend? Chapter 95. That is Duan Yiqing. He actually revealed the origin of his inherited martial spirit. How strong is his opponent? Indeed, even from 1,000 meters away, The martial spirit that has existed since the time of the Tianwu dynasty still gives off such a heavy pressure. Haha, you guys probably don't know. According to the people from Liushang Pavilion, the one who forced Duan to reveal her martial spirit's origin was only a superior grade martial disciple. Furthermore, he seems to be an outsider. That is impossible. Duan is a martial grandmaster. If he met a superior grade martial disciple, it would be like squashing an ant. How could he reveal his martial spirit's origin? He probably even used his martial techniques. It is absolutely true. I came from Liushang Pavilion. That person is indeed only a superior grade martial disciple. First, he injured Jiang Muheng and snatched away a map of the ancient remnant. Then he escaped from Duan hands. In the sky, the ice phoenix flashed a cold light as it soared above the 9 heavens. Every corner of Whitewater City could see it clearly. Many cultivators were discussing it. Whitewater City Jiang residents. The last disciple of the Misty Sword sect master, Chu Chaoyun, looked at the ice phoenix in the sky. His expression changed slightly as he muttered, "Who is it?" To actually be able to force Duan to reveal his martial spirit's origin. After he spoke, a sword of light appeared under his feet, carrying him into the sky. He turned into a sword image and chased after Duan. Soon he disappeared into the sky. In another room of the Jiang residence, the Hua clan's heir, Hua Yunfei, looked at Duan in the sky. He revealed a playful smile on his face. After Chu Chaoyun rode on his sword and flew off, he said, "Interesting. I want to see what kind of deity could attract the 2 geniuses of Dongming province." In the room, a few elders of the Hua clan advised, "Crown Prince, we are only here for the dwelling of the ancient human powerhouse. It is best not to cause any trouble." Hua Yunfei smiled faintly and said proudly, "I have the Hua clan's rare mutated martial spirit. I am destined to rise in this era. No one can stop me. What is there to be afraid of with such a small wave? Don't follow me." After he finished speaking, he turned into a blood-red river that surged into the sky. Everywhere he passed, it was like a blood cloud that covered the sky and the sun. Evil Qi soared into the sky. In the room of the Jiang clan's Duanmu clan, a pretty woman looked at Duanmu Qing, who was in the air. She said worriedly, "Second elder, is Miss Duanmu in some danger? Should we make a move to help?" The dignified and elegant second elder had a calm expression on his face. He said indifferently, "There is no need. If she cannot even deal with such a small problem, how can she be the princess of our Duanmu clan?" At the same time, in the great hall of the Jiang clan, the Jiang clan head, Jiang Mingxuan, was quickly making arrangements. First elder, immediately send people to Savage Forest. Regardless of whether they are dead or alive, find that person. We must obtain the map of the ancient remnant. We cannot let the people of the 3 major powers obtain it. Second elder, immediately set off to receive that esteemed guest from Nanling province. Whether our Jiang clan can obtain any fortuitous encounters this time will depend on this esteemed guest. Third elder, go to Liushang Pavilion and find that trash Mu Heng. Lock him up for a month. Because of Xiao Chen's saber strike, undercurrents surged in Whitewater City. The winds and clouds changed color. However, no matter how shocking the situation in the outside world was, or how the winds and clouds surged, Fatso's current mood was one of unshakable grief. This grief flowed like a river, repeatedly washing away Fatso's weak heart. "Young master, don't just stand there. You have already been standing there for an hour. If you continue standing there will be problems with your body." In the ruins of Liushang Pavilion, a manservant consoled the grieving Kim Tae-ho. Although Liushang Pavilion had completely collapsed, there were not many casualties. The guests on the first and second floors had already retreated before the explosion. The cultivators on the third and fourth floors had higher cultivations. They had all jumped out the instant the building collapsed. The waiters and manservants in the inn were all smart people. When it happened, not a single one of them remained. After it happened, they all reappeared. Just as Fatso was about to reprimand them, a soft moan could be heard. Kim Taeho's heart skipped a beat as he quickly looked towards the source of the sound. Pushing aside a few heavy wooden boards, Kim Tae-ho saw the severely injured Jiang Muheng. The wound that Xiao Chun made on his chest was very deep. His internal organs could be seen. At this moment, the wound had not healed yet. Blood was still flowing out slowly. His originally severely injured body, in addition to the collapse of Liushang Pavilion, the current Jiang Muheng was on his last breath. He could not help but moan. He was as pitiful as he could be. He no longer had his usual demeanor. Jin Fatso rolled his eyes and the worry on his face disappeared. He smiled at Jiang Muheng and said, "Isn't this young Master Jiang? Why are you like this? Save me." Jiang Muheng's complexion was pale. He was extremely weak. His voice was weak as he spoke intermittently. Kim Tae-ho moved his ear closer and said loudly, "Young Master Jiang, what are you saying? Speak louder." "Oh, I heard you. Save you. No problem." Kim Tae-ho's face was full of smiles as he took out a porcelain bottle. He waved it in front of Jiang Muheng and said, "Young Master Jiang, do you see this? This is the peak-grade golden sore medicine refined by a rank 7 alchemist. As long as you sprinkle it on your wound, no matter what kind of injury it is, it will immediately heal. Furthermore, this medicine does not have any side effects. It will not leave behind any scars. It is definitely the best choice for an elegant young master like you." Jin Fatso extended the medicine bottle in front of Jiang Muheng and said enticingly. Jiang Muheng's pale face revealed a trace of joy. He stretched out his left hand with much difficulty, wanting to grab the porcelain bottle. However, Jin Fatso quickly retracted his hand. The joy on Jiang Muheng's face disappeared. He looked at Kim Tae-ho with doubt, not knowing what was going on. Kim Tae-ho's chubby face revealed a difficult expression. He said, "Young Master Jiang, the moment I saw you, I felt that we were fated. If it were any other day, I would not have any complaints even if I gave this golden sore medicine to you. However, look at this Liushang Pavilion today. Because of you it turned into ruins. This fat lord's path to riches has been completely cut off. Now I am extremely poor. Doesn't your Jiang clan have a business district in the west of the city? How about lending it to this fat lord to reopen Liushang Pavilion? As long as you say the word, I will personally apply this peak-grade golden sore medicine on you." This fatso was really shameless. His Liushang Pavilion was at most a restaurant. Its annual sales in Whitewater City would be at most 5 million silver taels. However, the Jiang clan's business district had countless shops. Just the rent alone would be 20 million silver taels. Based on Fatso's tone, it was as though the Jiang clan was the one profiting. Jiang Muheng's lips moved. His voice was extremely weak. Kim Tae-ho moved his ear closer and said loudly, "Young Master Jiang, what are you saying? Speak louder, I can't hear you. What did you say about Scram, your mother?" Damn it. After Fatso heard this, the smile on his face immediately disappeared. He said with a straight face, "This fat lord saved your life out of goodwill. I only asked for a street, yet you actually scolded this fat lord. This fat lord really can't afford to be hurt. This feeling of being snubbed while showing kindness is really unpleasant. Let's go. This fat lord will block here. Let's see who dares to come over. Even if your Jiang clan's people come, they will not be able to take your people away." Fatso had just taken a step when a hand grabbed his pants. Kim Tae-ho had already expected that Jiang Muheng would not be satisfied. He quickly turned around with a face full of smiles and said, "Young Master Jiang, have you changed your mind? Your voice is too soft. Let me listen. Please don't scold this fat lord again. This fat lord will get angry too. You quickly come over and squat down. Young Master Jiang has already agreed." A brush, ink, paper, and inkstone instantly appeared in Fatso's hands. A manservant squatted on the ground. Fatso placed the brush in his mouth in a very coquettish manner. Then he dipped the brush in ink and started writing wildly. After he finished drafting the contract, he placed it under Jiang Muheng's hand. He smiled and said, "Young Master Jiang, please give me your handprint. Then please sign your name. Good writing. Even though young Master Jiang is severely injured, your writing is still very elegant. You have the demeanor of a great master." After Jiang Muheng signed, Fatso immediately put away the contract. Then he took out the bottle of peak-grade golden salve and slowly applied it on Jiang Muheng's wounds. The pained expression on Jiang Muhing's face slowly eased up. He had been on the verge of being severely injured. Now that he relaxed, he immediately fainted. Ha ha ha. How delightful. I lost a gold mine in exchange for a mountain of treasures. Fatso laughed maniacally as he held the contract. When the manservant saw that Fatso really gave the peak-grade golden salve to Jiang Muhing, he felt confused and asked, "Young master, did you really apply the peak-grade golden salve refined by a rank 7 alchemist? Indeed, is there a problem?" That manservant said doubtfully, "This is not like young master's style. I thought young master would just casually take some rank 3 alchemy and brush it off." Fatso put away the contract again. He took out the golden folding fan and knocked on the manservant's head violently. He laughed loudly. "What do you know? Do you think there are many people like Jiang Muhing in the entire Great Qin nation? Doesn't their Jiang clan still have 3 streets? This fat lord will treat him. Next time, I will look for him and cheat him of 3 streets. This bit of medicine money is nothing." That manservant said in admiration, "Young master is truly brilliant. This is casting a long line to catch a big fish. Why didn't I think of this? In the future, do not ask me such a question that degrades one's intelligence," Fatso said in a pretentious manner. After he spoke, he opened up the golden folding fan and fanned it violently a few times. He raised his head at a 45-degree angle and looked at the clouds in the sky. He said ruefully, "Sometimes having a high intelligence is a form of melancholy. I ask the heavens, who in this world can understand me? Life is truly as lonely as snow." Wah! Just as Fatso finished speaking, all the manservants and waiters in the ruins of Liushang Pavilion could not help but vomit. Chapter 96. Outside of Whitewater City, Xiaochen rushed madly toward Savage Forest. When he saw the weak and unconscious Bai in his arms, his heart ached. The attack that Bai executed earlier was the sharpest attack of the mysterious 9 Heavenly Revolution transformation. It compressed all the essence in its body into 9 strands, and then released them explosively. It was very taxing on the body. When Xiaochen was training in Savage Forest, he once met a rank 4 spirit beast. At the critical moment, Bai used this move. At that time, Xiaochen understood the might of this move and the damage it did to the body. Hence, he scolded Bai harshly and warned it not to use it again. He did not expect it to use it today. When Xiaochen looked up, he saw Duanmuking in the form of an ice phoenix in hot pursuit. In 2 different directions in the sky, a figure on a sword and a scarlet cloud attracted Xiaochen's attention. After hearing Fatso's introduction, Xiaochen already guessed the identities of the 2 people chasing him. He smiled faintly. "The 3 geniuses of Dongming province are working together to chase after me. They are overestimating me." Xiaochen executed the Azure Dragon Cloud soaring art that he comprehended to its limits. He leaped about on the ground. Looking from a distance, it looked like an azure dragon moving about in the air, creating shockwaves. As long as he entered Savage Forest, Xiaochen was confident of being able to shake off his pursuers. He had been cultivating in Savage Forest for more than a month, and was very familiar with it. Boom! Just as Xiaochen was about to step into the periphery of Savage Forest, Duanmuking suddenly turned into a piece of ice and fell in front of Xiaochen. The ice melted on the ground like water. After that, it surged continuously. In an instant, it turned into a human figure. Duanmuking's beautiful figure appeared in front of Xiaochen. Her white hair fluttered in the wind, and there was not a trace of fire in her eyes. She was like a goddess who had transcended the mortal world. Her cold voice slowly opened her mouth and said, "Hand over the sketch, and I won't make things difficult for you." Xiaochen did not answer her. He executed the lightning evasion to dodge. If he wanted to hand it over, Xiaochen would have given it to her at Liushang Pavilion. Now that they were already at the edge of Savage Forest, they had to fight for it. Although Xiaochen did not know what this map was, seeing how nervous she was, it was definitely not an ordinary map. Hua! Hua! A river of blood descended from the sky. Shua! The river of blood landed on the ground. Hua Yunfei's figure appeared behind Duanmuking. Chu Chaoyun, who was riding on his sword, quickly descended and landed firmly on the ground. The sword of light under his feet turned into a beam of light, and flew into his forehead. The three of them were not in a rush to chase after Xiao Qun. Hua Yunfei looked at the two of them and revealed a sinister smile. Since Miss Duanmu did not manage to catch this brat, how about this? The three of us will use our own abilities to chase after him. No matter who obtains the sketch, we will share it with the other party. What do you think? Chu Chaoyun's expressionless face did not reveal any expression. He said, I agree. Our three clans came uninvited. These few days, Jiang Mingxuan has been resisting the pressure and refusing to lead the way. He must be waiting for help. I heard that the Ji clan of Nanling province will be arriving soon. At that time, we will have another strong opponent. As long as we are ahead of the Jiang clan and snatch the sketch, our three clans can ignore the Jiang clan and work together to explore. Duan Yuking's white hair slowly turned black. The otherworldly look in her eyes became much gentler. Her red lips parted slightly as she said, sure. After the three of them spoke, they immediately flew into the depths of savage forest. They used their own methods and chased after Xiao Qun. After the three of them left, Su Xiaoxiao slowly appeared while hugging her zither. She said softly, it really is the blue dragon cloud soaring art. I was not wrong the last time. The head of the four holy beasts, the blue dragon martial spirit, has reappeared in the world. After she spoke, she did not enter savage forest. There was a look of contemplation in her eyes. After a while, she hugged her zither and quickly rushed towards White Water City. Not long after Su Xiaoxiao left, the first elder of the Jiang clan, Jiang Yunze, led a group of cultivators from the Jiang clan and rushed over. This group of cultivators were all martial masters, and there was a total of more than 200 of them. Jiang Yunze looked at the savage forest in front of him and said, split into 20 teams. Each team has 10 people. After you discover the target, make your move immediately. 10 martial masters against one superior grade martial disciple should be foolproof. After he spoke, he took out a few portraits and handed them to the group. Savage forest is too big. With just a few of us, we might not be able to find him. If you meet cultivators who are out for experiential training, hand these portraits to them and ask for their assistance in the hunt. In the periphery of savage forest, Xiao Qun was running very quickly. He extended out his spiritual sense, and everything that happened within 800 meters of him was recorded in his mind. The entire savage forest stretched for thousands of kilometers. Just the periphery alone was more than 1,000 hectares. Furthermore, aside from spirit beasts, there were also many cultivators here for experiential training and hunting. Xiao Qun hiding in there was like a drop of water in the ocean. Wuxia. A pack of gray wolves appeared in the range of Xiao Qun's spiritual sense. The gray wolves were rank 3 spirit beasts that lived in packs. Every time they appeared, there would be at least 20 of them. Xiao Qun knew that they would not be easy to deal with, so he prepared to go around them. Withdrawing his spiritual sense, Xiao Qun moved to the side. Just at this moment, there was the sound of footsteps. Xiao Qun's heart trembled. He did not know who it was, so he quickly hid in the bushes at the side. That brat really knows how to hide. After searching for so long, I have not even seen a shadow. I really don't know how this brat offended the Jiang clan. To actually be wanted by the Jiang clan, with a bounty of 1,000 gold taels. I heard that this brat snatched away a treasure map from the Jiang clan. It is the map of the ancient remnant of the human race that has been spreading like wildfire recently. Say, if we manage to get our hands on it, can we go and try our luck? Haha. With your cultivation as a medial grade martial master, I advise you not to even think about it. That map is just a copy. The original is still in the hands of the Jiang clan. The 3 powers of Dongming province are all here. I'm afraid you will be killed before you even get close to the ancient remnant. We should just hand this map over to the Jiang clan and earn some money. That's true. No matter how tempting a treasure is, without a life to enjoy it, it is just empty talk. Let's keep searching. I clearly saw that brat running over here. Xiao Qun, who was in the bushes, was astonished. The power of the Jiang clan in this area was indeed horrifying. They actually managed to bribe the cultivators in the periphery of savage forests so quickly. This is going to be troublesome. I have to hurry over there. A cultivator was holding a saber in his hand as he walked towards the bushes that Xiao Chun was in. The saber in his hand was continuously chopping away the thorns blocking his way. I'm going to be discovered. I can't go on like this. Seeing that person getting closer, Xiao Chun thought to himself, I have to make the first move. Hua. Xiao Chun jumped out from the bushes and swung his saber. In the instant that person was shocked, he chopped him in half. After that, he quickly rushed towards the remaining 5 cultivators. Ninth brother has been killed by him. Quickly kill him. When everyone saw that Xiao Chun had chopped ninth brother in half with one saber strike, they were all astonished. Ninth brother was a medial grade martial master, yet he was actually killed by this person with one saber strike. Drawing the saber, Xiao Chun executed the rushing thunder saber technique. The lunar shadow saber gave off an electric glow, and the energy of the rank 6 demonic core was released without holding anything back. The saber light flashed in the air, and another cultivator in front was chopped in half. Arclight chop. I'll kill you. A cultivator at the side saw that another of his companions had been killed by Xiao Chun. Facing this flawless arclight chop, his eyes turned bloodshot. He held his saber and chopped at Xiao Chun without any care. Puchi. Once the rushing thunder saber technique was executed, one would not be able to retreat. Otherwise, one's aura would drop to an extreme, and one would not be able to execute the aura of the rushing thunder chop for a short period of time. Xiao Chun did not dodge this saber strike. The saber landed on Xiao Chun's chest, leaving a bloody wound. However, before this person could rejoice, he was chopped in half by the arclight chop. Rushing heaven chop. Holding the lunar shadow saber, Xiao Chun soared into the sky and pierced through the chest of the person in front of him. The huge force instantly blasted that person's body into countless pieces of meat. Rushing thunder chop. A clap of thunder resounded in the sky. Xiao Chun carried the might of the heavenly thunder as he charged through the air. The person below raised his saber to block. Bang! The saber immediately shattered, and the lunar shadow saber easily chopped his body in half from head to toe. Rushing thunder second chain chop. Xiao Chun turned around and swung his saber. The energy gathered by the first 4 saber strikes of the rushing thunder chop was released explosively with this rushing thunder second chain chop. The person who was about to sneak attack Xiao Chun from behind was crushed into powder by the huge force of this saber strike. Looking at the corpses of the 6 people on the ground, Xiao Chun did not feel any unease in his heart. Since these people wanted to kill him and steal the map, they had to be prepared to be killed. Taking out a chi returning pill and placing it in his mouth, Xiao Chun looked at the wound on his chest and frowned slightly. If the battle armor had not been damaged by Tang Feng, this saber strike would not have been able to injure him. After leaving Mo City, Xiao Chun discovered that the profound ranked battle armor that Xiao Xiong gave him had already lost its spirituality due to Tang Feng's attack. It was now no different from a normal soft armor. In order to not affect his movements, Xiao Chun simply threw away the battle armor. In the earlier battle, given Xiao Chun's strength, he could have easily dealt with this group of people. He would not have to exhaust much of his essence to kill them easily. Xiao Chun was afraid that if he dragged things out for too long, he would attract even more trouble. Thus, he used the rushing thunder saber technique, which consumed a lot of essence, in order to deal with them in a short amount of time. Taking out a blood-replenishing pill, Xiao Chun crushed it and applied it on their wounds. Then he opened the bags on the backs of the 6 cultivators. These were all cultivators who had trained in Savage Forest for a long time. There was a large amount of spirit beast inner cores and herbs in the bags. Xiao Chun counted them. There was a total of 4 rank 3 spirit beast inner cores and 5 rank 4 herbs. The rest were all cheap items, which Xiao Chun casually threw away. They are still worth some silver taels. Xiao Chun revealed a smile on his face as he placed the rank 3 spirit beast inner cores and rank 4 herbs into his universe ring. For the rest of the journey, Xiao Chun kept an eye out. He would rather expend his essence quickly and extend his spiritual sense. As long as he met someone, he would immediately avoid them. It did not matter if they had ulterior motives or not, he would just go around them. When it was close to dusk, Xiao Chun arrived at an extremely desolate area in the outskirts of Savage Forest. When he arrived here, Xiao Chen's tense expression finally relaxed, and he withdrew his spiritual sense. He took large strides towards the forest land in front of him. His figure walked in the forest at a very strange pace. After a while, Xiao Chen's figure suddenly disappeared into the forest like a ghost. Chapter 97. Within the forest, Xiao Chen seemed to have vanished into thin air. When he reappeared, the environment in front of Xiao Chen had undergone a complete change. In the distance, there was a gushing waterfall flowing down from a mountain stream, flowing into a long river below. The riverbank was a vast and spacious area. Just by standing on the riverbank, one could feel the fresh water vapor. This large river was known as the Zhuang River. There were many rivers in Savage Forest, and this Zhuang River was one of the most unremarkable ones. The place where Xiao Chen was at was the source of the Zhuang River. To outsiders, this was an unremarkable place. No one would pay attention to it. However, Xiao Chen's spiritual sense could sense an extraordinary existence in this place. There was a huge rock in the cave behind the waterfall. The spiritual energy in the surroundings was extremely dense. Cultivating on it would be faster than cultivating outside by at least 50%. After Xiao Chen discovered this place by accident, he immediately laid down an illusion formation to fool others. This place was originally rather desolate. When Xiao Chen laid down the formation, he did not have any worries, so he was very calm. Xiao Chen used a total of 10 days to complete this illusion formation. As long as it was not a martial king expert, outsiders would not be able to discover this place. Even if they entered this place by mistake, they would unknowingly take a detour. Now that Xiao Chen arrived at this place, he was completely safe. He found a flat rock and sat down cross-legged. He slowly circulated the purple thunder divine incantation and entered a state of cultivation. The morning sun rose and the sunlight shone down. The night passed just like that. Xiao Chen opened his eyes and took a deep breath. He jumped down from the rock and went to the riverbank to wash his face. In the morning, the waterfall had stopped flowing. The surface of the river was as smooth as a mirror. Xiao Chen raised his leg and stepped onto the surface of the river. His body magically stopped on the water's surface. His heart was as calm as still water. Xiao Chen circulated the blue dragon cloud soaring art. He closed his eyes and slowly walked on the water's surface. With every step he took, ripples spread out in all directions. In ancient legends, dragons were the overlords of the sky and the sea. They could overturn rivers and seas, reverse mountains and rivers, and summon the wind and rain. They were omnipotent. When it soared above the 9 heavens, it could soar through the clouds. As it turned, wind and thunder surged, and it could travel 10,000 li in an instant. The blue dragon cloud soaring art was such a movement technique. When practiced to the great perfection stage, one could ride the clouds, ride the mist, and overturn rivers and seas. These days, Xiao Chen had been practicing the blue dragon cloud soaring art in the Zhuang River. At first he had no progress. Now he had some small success and could walk slowly on the water surface. Xiao Chen walked slowly on the water surface, comprehending the various mysteries of the blue dragon cloud soaring art. When the sun reached the top of his head, the sound of splashing water could be heard. The surging waterfall started to flow again. The calm river surface suddenly became turbulent. Xiao Chen opened his eyes. They were filled with seriousness. Every day at this time, the trial truly began. If Xiao Chen was not careful, he would immediately fall into the water and become a drowned rat. The river water flowed downwards rapidly. Xiao Chen stood on the water surface and moved against the current. Every step he took exhausted a large amount of essence. However, his body still swayed left and right on the water surface. Putong. When he took 100 steps forward, Xiao Chen finally could not take it anymore and fell into the river. The turbulent river water carried Xiao Chen's body downstream quickly. The calm Zhuang River immediately revealed its sinister side. The turbulent river water carried a huge force. It continuously attacked Xiao Chen's body, making it difficult for him to maintain his balance. His body flowed downstream quickly. This was not the first time he encountered such a situation. Xiao Chen was calm and did not panic. He held his breath and his body slowly sank to the bottom of the river. He circulated his essence in his body, storing up power. The instant his feet touched the bottom of the river, he pushed off and his body shot out of the water like an arrow released from a bow. When his body reached the surface of the water once again, he pushed off lightly and somersaulted in the air, landing firmly on the shore. Looking at the rushing river water, Xiaochen sighed in his heart. With such turbulent river water, even a regular cultivator would drown if they did not have a good state of mind. Xiaochen's entire body was wet and uncomfortable. He wiped his face and took off his clothes. Then he took out a set of dry clothes from the universe ring. At this moment, it was not suitable for him to continue practicing his movement technique. Xiaochen did not waste any time. After he ate some dry rations, he took out a wooden stick and placed it on the ground. Xiaochen held the lunar shadow saber in his hand and endured the blazing sun. He started to practice the first move of the rushing thunder saber technique, drawing the saber. In his opinion, this drawing the saber had to be practiced to the point where he could strike the wooden stick 12 times without it falling. Only then would it be considered to have reached great perfection. Right now he could only swing the saber 4 times, barely reaching small perfection. There was still a long way to go before he could reach great perfection. Shwa, 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 shwa. After practicing for 2 hours this time, Xiaochen struck out 5 times. The light wooden stick swayed a few times, but it did not fall. There is finally some improvement. I can strike out 5 times in a row. Xiaochen wiped the sweat off his forehead. The handle of his saber was covered in sweat as he spoke joyfully. After leaving Mo City, Xiaochen realized that there were too many geniuses in this world. He Xiaochen was nothing. Just in Dongming province alone, the inheritors of the 3 great powers were only 16 or 17 years old. However, their cultivations had already reached the shocking martial Grand Master realm. This was a realm that ordinary people might not be able to reach in their entire lives. However, they were able to reach it easily at the age of 16 or 17. It could only be said that comparing oneself to others was infuriating. Looking at the entire world, it was unknown how many such demonic geniuses there were. His achievements, Xiaochen, were not even worth mentioning. He was like a chestnut in the vast ocean, unremarkable. In this world where the strong ruled, since he was here he would not be willing to be below others. He would not be a stepping stone for others, to be buried in the dust of history. Without a strong talent, he would have to put in 1,000 times the effort. Just like the Thunder King from 1,000 years ago. He was born in a poor family, but he relied on his own strength to trample on the geniuses of the noble clans. He had obtained the inheritance of the Thunder King. Even if he did not care about his own face, he had to take into account the illustrious reputation of the Thunder King. Since he did not have a demonic talent, then he would have to put in 1,000,000 times the effort. Xiaochen set up another wooden staff and focused. He continued to practice drawing the saber tirelessly. The amount of wood shavings on the ground increased continuously. After an hour, Xiaochen sheathed his saber and rested for a while. Then he slowly walked to the shore and looked at the gushing waterfall in the distance. It had already weakened significantly. Kill! He shouted lightly and jumped onto the turbulent surface of the water. He sprinted against the current and went against the current. Waves of air surged around Xiaochen and 2-meter-tall waves splashed on both sides of his body. Xiaochen ran all the way, not stopping to rest. When he arrived at the waterfall, he shouted and leaped up high. A chi spear shot out from his body. With a schwa sound, Xiaochen broke through the waterfall. He landed on a rock behind the waterfall. This was a cave that was recessed into the mountain wall. It was only about 2 meters deep. The cave was very humid. The waterfall at the entrance was like a curtain of water. It was very similar to the water curtain cave that Xiaochen knew in his previous life. There was a very smooth rock in the cave. Xiaochen revealed a faint smile as he slowly sat on it. He immediately entered into a state of cultivation. The purple thunder divine incantation circulated continuously in his body. The dense spiritual energy in the surroundings poured into Xiaochen's body continuously. The spiritual energy was so dense that it was like a fog, almost to the point of liquefying. Xiaochen only circulated it for one great cycle. The spiritual energy in his body had already filled all his meridians. There was a faint feeling of excitement coming from his martial spirit. Xiaochen knew this was a sign of advancing. As long as he was willing, he could immediately return to the cultivation of an inferior grade martial master. However, Xiaochen did not do so. Back then, when he executed the Ninth Heaven's Thunder formation, his cultivation had dropped to superior grade martial disciple. After thinking about it carefully, he did not feel that it was a bad thing. Instead, it was an opportunity for him to stabilize his foundation. Xiaochen had only spent a few months to advance from the spirit refinement realm to the inferior grade martial master realm. To a normal person, this was an inconceivable thing. No matter what, he had not truly solidified his foundation. The foundation of a tall building was the most important. Only when the foundation was stable would there be no accidents happening to the tall building, such as collapsing midway. The principle of the martial Tao was the same. If the spirit refinement realm was like digging a foundation, then the martial disciple realm was like filling in the foundation. Xiaochen had entered the spirit refinement realm much later than others. He had spent a total of 15 years digging a foundation much deeper than others. All he had to do now was bury it again and create an unbreakable, iron-like foundation. With a thought, Xiaochen infused all the absorbed spiritual energy into his skin, flesh, and bones, slowly tempering his body. After the essence circulated 9 great cycles in his body, Xiaochen opened his eyes. His body was covered in a black viscous substance. Xiaochen leaped out of the hole. The gushing waterfall washed away all the impurities on his body. Xiaochen immediately felt refreshed and carefree. He could not help but shout. The aura in his body exploded out to its peak. The water droplets on his body instantly evaporated. Boom! Xiaochen's body landed heavily on the surface of the water. A huge force spread out from under his feet. After a while, a 3-meter-tall wave rose up in the surroundings. Xiaochen pushed off the water and returned to the shore. In the boundless horizon, the sun had set and night had fallen. A day had passed just like that. A small white figure dashed over from outside the illusion formation. When Xiaochen saw it, he revealed a faint smile. No matter how lonely the path of cultivation was, at least there was Bai to accompany him. After a night of rest, Bai regained its strange temperament. It ran out of the spirit blood jade early in the morning. Xiaochen was not worried about its safety. Bai cultivated the mysterious 9 heavenly revolution transformation. Its speed was so fast that even Xiaochen could not catch up to it. It ran over to Xiaochen and held a stalk of herb in its mouth. It placed it in Xiaochen's hands like it was presenting a treasure. Xiaochen did not find this strange. Bai was very sensitive to natural treasures with spirituality. Every time it went out, it would gain something. Xiaochen held the herb in his hands and observed it carefully. His eyes lit up and he said joyfully, "Rank 5 spirit herb, fragrant cloud grass. This is a 30-year-old superior grade herb. It is worth 1,000 gold." Hearing Xiaochen's joyful words, Bai revealed a human-like smile. It was very satisfied. Chapter 98. The sun rose and set. The clouds rose and scattered. The days in the valley passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, Xiaochen had cultivated for a week in front of the waterfall. During this time, Xiaochen continuously cultivated the blue dragon cloud soaring art. When the river was turbulent, he would go ashore to practice the rushing thunder saber technique. At dusk, he would cultivate the purple thunder divine incantation, continuously consolidating his cultivation realm and tempering his physical body. Hua! On this day, Xiaochen leaped out of the cave behind the waterfall and landed heavily on the water surface. He kicked up a huge wave. Water droplets shot out in all directions, and the waves surged up to the sky. With a gentle push, Xiaochen returned to the riverside. After a week of cultivation, the essence in his body had become even denser and purer. It was now comparable to a superior grade martial master. After resting for a while, Xiaochen looked suspiciously in the direction of the illusion formation's exit. Normally, Bai would be back by now. Why is it not back yet? Bai was the darling of the forest, It had a special affinity with the forest. After coming to Savage Forest, Xiaochen could not control it anymore. It would run out on its own every time. Bai, who cultivated the mysterious 9 Heavenly Revolution transformation, did not have any natural enemies in the periphery of Savage Forest. However, Xiaochen was worried about it. If it ran into the inner regions of Savage Forest, it would be problematic. Just as Xiaochen was hesitating whether to go out and look for Bai, a white figure appeared in his vision. Before Xiaochen could reveal a smile, he discovered that there was something wrong with Bai's body. Its speed was much slower than usual. When it got closer, Xiaochen discovered that its snow-white body was covered in red wounds. The red blood was very eye-catching on its snow-white fur. When Bai looked at Xiaochen, it seemed to be afraid. It did not dare to get close, like a child who had done something wrong. Xiaochen had a sullen expression as he carried Bai over. After carefully inspecting the wounds, he heaved a sigh of relief. They were all superficial wounds. Then he took out a blood-replenishing pill, crushed it, and slowly applied it on Bai's wound. Then he went to the river and washed the blood off Bai's body. Let's see if you still dare to run outside. Now you know how powerful I am. Xiaochen placed Bai on a soft patch of grass and lectured him. The effect of the blood-replenishing pill was very good. After it had completely seeped into Bai's body, the wound immediately solidified and a scar slowly formed. Seeing that Xiaochen was lecturing it, it stood up with some grievance. It gestured with its hands and feet while squeaking. Although Bai could not speak the human language, it had signed a blood contract with Xiaochen. Xiaochen roughly understood what it meant. It saw a stalk of spirit herb in the periphery of Savage Forest, and wanted to pick it like usual. Who knew that this stalk of spirit herb had a 4-legged snake? Its speed was extremely fast. Before Bai could get close, it was scratched by the claws of the 4-legged snake. It was so frightened that it quickly ran back. Xiaochen's heart sank. Based on Bai's description, this 4-legged snake should be a rank 4 spirit beast, black-legged snake. However, how could there be a rank 4 spirit beast in the periphery of Savage Forest? A rank 4 spirit beast was equivalent to a martial grandmaster. In the periphery of Savage Forest, rank 3 spirit beasts were rather rare. For a rank 4 spirit beast to appear guarding a stalk of natural treasure, it could only mean that the natural treasure was of a very high rank. Xiaochen looked at Bai and asked seriously, "Are you sure it is in the periphery of Savage Forest?" Bai nodded its head heavily. Xiaochen started thinking. This natural treasure was clearly not ordinary. It could be like the red nascent fruit in the periphery of Seven Horn Mountain. That place was the place with the densest spiritual energy in the periphery of Savage Forest. If it was under normal circumstances, Xiaochen would have made up his mind long ago. A rank 4 spirit beast was only equivalent to a martial grandmaster. However, a spirit beast was, after all, a spirit beast. Its thinking was not as agile as a human's, and it could not use martial techniques and spirit weapons like a human could. After paying a certain price, Xiaochen was confident that he could deal with this black-legged snake. However, the problem now was that he did not know whether the Jiang clan's people had returned or not. If they were still around and the Jiang clan's people discovered his whereabouts, it would be difficult for him to escape. Riches are sought amidst danger. The path of cultivation is filled with boundless danger. It all boils down to the word risk. Xiaochen made up his mind and no longer hesitated. When Bai's injuries were more or less healed, he said, "Bai, lead the way. I will help you take revenge." Bai cheered and led Xiaochen out of the illusion formation. The scene in front of Xiaochen suddenly changed. A forest of tall trees and a dark forest appeared in Xiaochen's vision once again. Bai's speed was extremely fast. If Xiaochen did not execute the blue dragon cloud soaring art, he would not be able to catch up to it. One man and one beast moved quickly. Xiaochen ignored all the spirit beasts they met along the way, leaving them all behind. When they arrived in front of a small valley, Bai stopped. Xiaochen extended his spiritual sense into the valley. At the end of the valley, in an extremely hidden crevice, Xiaochen saw a 7-colored flower petal. 7-leaf flower. Xiaochen exclaimed in astonishment. A 7-leaf flower actually grew in this place. This was too shocking. The 7-leaf flower was a true treasure. It had a total of 7 different colored petals. Every 10 years, one petal would grow out. After all 7 petals grew out, it would come into contact with the neon-like 7-leaf fruit in another 20 years. Xiaochen extended his spiritual sense into the 7-leaf flower and observed it carefully. He was somewhat disappointed to discover that the fruit within the petals had already been plucked. There were only 7 different colored petals left. However, even if the 7-leaf fruit had been plucked, the remaining 7 petals would still be useful to cultivators. Every petal could temper a cultivator's body once again. After the tempering of the 7-leaf flower, a cultivator's physical body would undergo a qualitative change. Xiaochen withdrew his spiritual sense and asked Bai, "When you came here earlier, was the fruit still there?" Bai chattered nonstop. When Xiaochen heard it, he could not help but feel it was strange. He said, "When Bai came here earlier, it was still there. Why is it gone now?" "That's right, when I scanned the valley with my spiritual sense earlier, I did not see the black-legged snake. It must have plucked the fruit." Xiaochen's heart stirred. He quickly released his spiritual sense again, carefully searching every corner of the valley. Finally, on a slope in the valley, Xiaochen discovered traces of the black-legged snake. It was hiding behind a huge rock. That sparkling and translucent 7-leaf fruit was right in front of the black-legged snake. The black-legged snake's eyes were closed. The 7-leaf fruit emitted a golden spiritual energy that was visible to the naked eye. The black-legged snake's body was 2 meters long. It had 4 legs and its body was as big as a bowl. The snake's body was covered in dark gold scales. It opened its mouth wide and sucked in all the golden spiritual energy. Its face revealed an extremely joyful expression. Xiaochen was secretly astonished. This black-legged snake is not stupid. It knows that the 7-leaf fruit contains an astonishing amount of spiritual energy. It cannot just swallow it in one bite. Xiaochen circulated the gravity spell and gently floated to the cliff where the 7-leaf flower was located. A faint fragrance came from the 7-leaf flower. Xiaochen revealed a faint smile on his face. He grabbed the root and exerted some strength. He carefully plucked it and placed it in his universe ring. Landing gently on the ground, Xiaochen extended his spiritual sense out again. The black-legged snake was intoxicated by the spiritual energy of the 7-leaf fruit and did not notice the situation here. The corner of Xiaochen's mouth curled up into a cold smile. He locked his spiritual sense on the black-legged snake and shouted, "Lightning evasion!" A clap of thunder resounded in the valley. Lightning streaked across the sky. Xiaochen suddenly appeared beside the black-legged snake. The lunar shadow saber lit up with a resplendent electric glow. He did not hesitate to execute the drawing the saber that he had practiced thousands of times. Xiaochen raised his hand and chopped down. The lunar shadow saber ruthlessly chopped at the spine of the black-legged snake. The lunar shadow saber left a 2-chi deep wound on the dark golden scales. The black blood of the black-legged snake gushed out like a fountain. Unexpectedly, it did not chop the black-legged snake in half. Xiaochen was astonished. He originally thought that he could take advantage of the moment when the black-legged snake was distracted to finish it off. He did not expect that he would only leave a wound on its body. Under the intense pain, the black-legged snake opened its mouth at an exaggerated angle. It let out a painful hiss and its huge tail ferociously stabbed at Xiaochen. The pitch-black snake tail was as tough as an awl. It twisted at an inconceivable angle as it fell from the sky. A pitch-black liquid flickered at the end of the snake tail. It was obviously a highly toxic substance. Xiaochen was overwhelmed with shock and quickly retreated backward. The awl-like snake tail stabbed into the place where Xiaochen was originally standing. The huge force created a hole about half a meter wide in the ground. Bang! After the snake tail landed on the ground, it swung horizontally and quickly flew towards Xiaochen in the air. Xiaochen was astonished. He did not expect the snake tail to swing so quickly. His body paused in the air before he ferociously used his chi to rise by 3 meters, dodging the black-legged snake's huge tail. Before Xiaochen could heave a sigh of relief, he saw the snake tail twirl in the air. Its length suddenly doubled as it swept towards Xiaochen. Boom! Not only did the snake tail's length double, The speed at which it swung horizontally also increased significantly. Xiaochen had never seen such a strange thing before. He was caught off guard and was ruthlessly swept by it. The snake tail carried a huge force and it flung Xiaochen down from the air. Xiaochen's body had been tempered countless times. At this moment, his muscles were as tough as iron. After being swept by the snake tail, Xiaochen only felt the qi in his body churn for a while. However, he did not suffer any serious injuries. If it were a regular martial master, their internal organs would have ruptured, and they would have died. Xiaochen's body landed on the slope and quickly rolled down. The black-legged snake ran wildly on all fours. Its 2-meter-long body was extremely fast as it flew towards Xiaochen. Xiaochen shouted lightly and stopped his body from sliding down. His right leg bounced off the ground, and he flew backwards before landing firmly on the ground. When the black-legged snake saw that Xiaochen's speed was not slower than its own, it instantly landed on an empty space in the valley. It opened its huge mouth and spat out a black venom at Xiaochen. Xiaochen flicked his finger, and a strand of purple flame condensed on his fingertip. It spun around and shot towards the venom. Wuxia. The venom was instantly struck. There was a chi-chi sound as the venom dispersed. Thick black smoke spread out in all directions. The speed at which the black smoke spread was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it covered half of the valley. Chapter 99. Xiaochen did not panic. He took out a black veil from the universe ring and wore it, covering his mouth and nose. This veil was made from the hide of a spirit beast. It could isolate most of the gases. The black veil was not a rare treasure. Most of the cultivators who entered Savage Forest would purchase one. Xiaochen was prepared. When he entered Savage Forest for the first time, he had already prepared one. Thick smoke pervaded the air, and the surroundings were covered in fog. Visibility was greatly hindered. Xiaochen spread out his spiritual sense and immediately caught sight of the black-legged snake. When the black-legged snake saw that Xiaochen was still in the poisonous smoke, it thought that his vision was limited. It ran to Xiaochen in a carefree manner, and used its huge tail to stab at Xiaochen. Xiaochen quickly retreated, and the huge tail quickly lengthened in the air, chasing after Xiaochen. Xiaochen locked his spiritual sense on the huge tail of the black-legged snake. He discovered that after its tail lengthened, the originally densely packed Jinlin became thinner. Good chance. Xiaochen thought to himself. This black-legged snake must have thought that he could not see it in the thick smoke. That was why it dared to be so bold and attack him without fear. Kill! Xiaochen shouted and quickly executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art. He rose from the ground and instantly rose to a height of 10 meters. A dragon image appeared behind him, and he executed the simplified version of the descending divine dragon chop. The black-legged snake felt a dangerous aura, and quickly retracted its huge tail. However, the speed of the descending divine dragon chop was extremely fast. It had only retracted its huge tail halfway when the lunar shadow saber in Xiaochen's hand ruthlessly chopped at an area where the scales were sparse. The black-legged snake's tail was instantly chopped in half. Wuxia. Blood sprayed out from the place where the tail was severed. This fellow's blood was also highly toxic. Even a drop of it would be fatal. Xiaochen hurriedly retreated. Previously, Xiaochen's sneak attack had struck the black-legged snake's weak spot. As the saying goes, hit the snake where it hurts. Although Xiaochen's full-strength strike did not split it into two halves, it had still severely injured it. At this moment, Xiaochen had chopped off the weapon it relied on, its tail. Adding injuries on top of injuries, it had become a toothless tiger. It was no longer a life-threatening threat to Xiaochen. The black-legged serpent also understood this logic. It let out a pained hiss and fiercely bounced off the ground with its 4 legs. It opened its huge mouth and pounced towards Xiaochen without the slightest hesitation. It was actually a suicidal move. Xiaochen's heart tightened. The black-legged serpent's final attack was extremely fast. There was no way to dodge it. If he could not kill it in one strike, the black-legged serpent's counterattack would definitely severely injure him. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, Xiao Chen's mind became clear. He recalled the state he was in when he practiced his saber. He slowly said in his heart, "Don't be nervous. Just treat me as a wooden stick for practicing your saber." Drawing the saber. The lunar shadow saber flickered with electricity. When the black-legged serpent was less than half a meter away from Xiao Chen suddenly made his move. A saber light flashed and the black-legged serpent was chopped into two halves from head to toe. Xiao Chen rolled to the side, avoiding the poisonous blood falling from the air. With a bang, the two halves of the black-legged serpent fell to the ground. The poisonous fog in the valley slowly dissipated. Xiao Chen removed his mask and walked towards the huge rock where the black-legged serpent had been. He carefully placed the 7-leaf fruit into his universe ring. Looking at the corpse of the black-legged serpent on the ground, Xiao Chen did not waste it. The entire body of the black-legged serpent was a treasure. The black Jinlin scales on the serpent's body were indestructible. They were excellent materials for making battle armor. The 4 legs were excellent for brewing medicinal wine and refining medicinal pills. Xiao Chen took out a sharp knife and cut them off. Wang. Wang. Xiao Chen tidied up everything. Just as he was about to get up, there was a buzzing sound in his head. He felt dizzy and his limbs went numb. Damn it, the poisonous fog must have entered my body through my pores. I have to find a place to force the poison out. Otherwise, I will be in big trouble. Shwa, shwa. The sound of footsteps came from outside the valley. Xiao Chen extended his spiritual sense out, and his heart tightened. It was the Jiang clan's people. They had not left yet. It must be the noise from the battle earlier that alarmed them. It really is that brat. He actually dares to appear. Because the first elder could not find him, he was scolded by the clan head. As a result, we were scolded by the first elder as well. This time, we have to catch him. Send the signal. Quickly inform the first elder and the others. These words entered Xiao Chen's ears. He did his best to open his eyes, maintaining a trace of clarity in his mind. He looked in the direction of the valley. There were 10 cultivators, all of them martial masters. Kill. One of them shouted loudly. He held a thick saber in his hand and rushed at Xiao Chen. He saw that Xiao Chen was only a superior grade martial disciple. Furthermore, he felt that something was wrong. He wanted to be the first to make a move. Drawing the saber, Xiao Chen executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art to its limits. His figure turned into a beam of light in the air. Together with the rushing thunder saber technique, he executed the lunar shadow saber. There was a flash of saber light. The Jiang clan cultivator, who made the first move, was instantly struck. Xiao Chen looked at the remaining 9 martial masters. Instead of retreating, he advanced. He held the lunar shadow saber and rushed forward. Bang! After he had taken a few steps, the cultivator that had been struck by his saber suddenly split into 2 halves with a loud bang, blood spraying everywhere. The remaining 9 martial masters turned pale with fright. They did not expect Xiao Chen, a superior grade martial disciple, to be able to kill a martial master with one saber strike. This was simply inconceivable. They felt a chill in their hearts. What are you afraid of? No matter how strong he is just a superior grade martial disciple. There are still 9 of us. What is there to be afraid of? Furthermore, the first elder is about to arrive. We just need to delay him for a while. A Jiang clan cultivator said to the others. Someone at the side agreed. That's right, there is no need to be afraid of him. He is just a superior grade martial disciple. No matter how strong he is still a realm above us. Xiao Chen did not say anything. The situation was dire. He did not dare delay. He expended the essence in his body without any regard for his life. The 10 white clouds beside the azure dragon martial spirit in Xiao Chen's dantian moved quickly. A dense and pure essence flowed through his entire body. Drawing the saber, there was a flash of saber light. Xiao Chen made his move again. Under the execution of the blue dragon cloud soaring art, his figure became ethereal. The cultivator who spoke first was instantly chopped in half. Arclight chop. Rushing heaven chop. Rushing thunder chop. Rushing thunder second chain chop. Within the valley, thunder roared and the wind howled. Saber lights flashed wantonly. Xiao Chen executed the rushing thunder saber technique with all his might. Although Xiao Chen's cultivation was only at the superior grade martial disciple realm, he had once reached the martial master realm. After these few days of cultivation, the purity and strength of the essence in his body were much stronger than these Jiang clan martial masters. Furthermore, with the heaven-ranked movement technique of the Blue Dragon Cloud soaring art and the rushing thunder saber technique, which was comparable to an earth-ranked martial technique, these people were not a match for Xiao Chen. Every time the saber light flickered, it would claim a life. After the 5 moves of the rushing thunder saber technique were executed, there were only 4 Jiang clan cultivators left in the valley. Those 4 cultivators could only see Xiao Chen's figure. They could not see how Xiao Chen made his move. They only saw him killing 6 people in an instant. Seeing Xiao Chen like a killing god, they wanted to retreat and ran out of the valley. Seeing the 4 fleeing, Xiao Chen did not give chase. Instead, he headed out of the valley. He had to find a safe place to force the poison out of his body. Xiao Chen circulated his essence at full force, temporarily suppressing the poison in Xiao Chen's body. However, this was an extremely dangerous situation. If he could not force the poison out before it counterattacked, it would cause fatal damage to his body. Just as Xiao Chen walked out of the valley, he felt a strong aura chasing after him. He became serious. The Jiang clan experts had arrived. He quickened his pace. "Brat, where are you running to?" Behind him, the first elder of the Jiang clan, Jiang Yunze, had an ashen complexion. He shouted loudly and leaped up from the ground. While he was in the air, he stepped on the trunk of a large tree. With a ferocious push, he leaped towards Xiao Chen. His figure increased in speed in the air, and he caught up to Xiao Chen in an instant. He sent a palm strike at Xiao Chen's back. Hearing the palm wind behind him, Xiao Chen turned around and exchanged a palm strike with Jiang Yunze. He vomited a mouthful of blood, but he used Jiang Yunze's palm strike to retreat at an even more horrifying speed. Jiang Yunze could not help but feel angry. This brat actually used the force of his palm strike to increase the distance between them. Thinking about how he was scolded by Jiang Mingxuan in the Jiang residence yesterday, Jiang Yunze roared angrily and gave chase again. Feeling Jiang Yunze chasing after him again, Xiao Chen complained in his heart. Normally, he would have been able to shake off this person long ago. However, at this moment, he had to use his essence to suppress the poison in his body. He was unable to fully execute the Blue Dragon Cloud soaring art, so his speed was much slower. "I have to think of a way," Xiao Chen thought anxiously. When he saw Jiang Yunze getting closer, he suddenly stopped and slowly executed the gravity spell. When executing the gravity spell, its speed was rather slow. However, as long as he executed it, he would be able to fly into the sky and shake off the people below him. As for whether he would become a target for others after he flew into the sky, it was not within Xiao Chen's consideration for now. When Jiang Yunze saw Xiao Chen suddenly stop, he felt joy in his heart. He immediately increased his pace and rushed towards Xiao Chen. He held the saber on his back in his hand. This time he would not give Xiao Chen any chance to borrow strength. He would kill him in one strike. There was a flash of saber light. Just as the saber was about to strike Xiao Chen's body suddenly rose from the ground. After executing the gravity spell, he flew higher and higher. In the blink of an eye, he was more than 200 meters above the ground. It is actually a flying martial technique. Where did this person come from? A Jiang clan cultivator who rushed over said in astonishment when he saw Xiao Chen's figure in the sky. Jiang Yunze looked coldly at Xiao Chen, who was in the sky. He said in a deep voice, "No matter where he came from, he snatched the Jiang clan's map and even injured the first young master. He has to pay the price. Hand me the bow." A cultivator quickly took out a long bow that flickered with a cold light, and handed it to Jiang Yunze. The bow flickered with a faint radiance, and a faint spiritual energy was emitted. This bow was actually a spirit weapon. Jiang Yunze took out an arrow and drew the bowstring, forming a full moon shape. The tip of the arrow flashed with a cold light as he pointed it at Xiao Chen. So, the arrow buzzed and left the bowstring. It was extremely fast, flying towards Xiao Chen. Hearing the sound of the arrow tearing through the air, Xiao Chen let out a long sigh in his heart. Even at his peak, he did not dare say that he would be able to dodge this arrow. Xiao Chen did his best to dodge to the side, but this arrow still pierced through his right chest. If it were not for his spiritual sense detecting Jiang Yun's movements and dodging, this arrow would have pierced through his heart. A bloody hole the size of a finger appeared on the right side of his chest. Blood flowed out continuously, and a heart-wrenching pain could be felt. Xiao Chen quickly took out a blood-replenishing pill and placed it in his mouth. Xiao Chen did his best to maintain the gravity spell as he continued to fly forward in a wobbly manner. The poison that had been suppressed for a long time was finally released. At this moment, the poison that he had been suppressing also became restless. His body staggered as though he would fall from the sky in the next moment. After searching for a week, I finally see you. Hua Yunfei stood on top of a tree in the distance. He looked very graceful, his long hair fluttered, and his clothes fluttered in the wind. When he saw Xiao Chen's figure, he revealed a faint evil smile. He turned into a blood river and headed in the direction of Xiao Chen, rushing through the air. Chapter 100. The blood river was like a churning red cloud in the sky. A horrifying evil aura emanated from the blood river in all directions, rippling in the sky. When Xiao Chen felt the blood river behind him, he was startled. Hua Yunfei had not left yet. That means Du Emyuking and Chu Chaoyan are definitely still around. I have to hurry to the illusion formation. Pussy. The blood river turned into a whirlwind in the sky. Its speed suddenly doubled, and it caught up to Xiao Chen in an instant. After that, it turned into a human figure. Hua Yunfei sent a palm strike at Xiao Chen, smashing him down from the sky. Bang! Xiao Chen's body fell from the sky and landed on the ground with a loud thud. The qi and blood in his body churned continuously, and he vomited another mouthful of blood. His pale face became even more frightening. Hua Yunfei landed steadily from the sky and looked at Xiao Chen on the ground. He smiled disdainfully. I was wondering what kind of genius it was to actually force Du Emyuking to reveal his inherited martial spirit. It turns out that you are just trash. Xiao Chen stood up slowly and looked at Hua Yunfei. You are just born with an innate bloodline. If I had not only awakened my martial spirit at the age of 15, even if I were severely injured, I would still be able to fight with you. You still dare to be stubborn. Hua Yunfei snorted coldly and moved quickly. Everywhere he passed, he left behind a trail of blood. In the blink of an eye, he arrived before Xiao Chen. He raised his leg and kicked Xiao Chen away. Boom! Xiao Chen's body flew backwards, breaking 3 large trees before landing heavily on the ground. After he landed, he vomited 3 mouthfuls of blood. His pale face no longer had any color. Hua Yunfei walked over and was surprised to see that Xiao Chen's body was in perfect condition. He said, I did not expect your body to be so strong. You did not even break a single rib from my kick. However, no matter how strong your body is, a superior grade martial disciple is still trash. Take out the sketch, and I'll give you a quick death. Xiao Chen did not say anything. He slowly stood up and used his spiritual sense to seal the spirit blood jade, blocking Bai, who was trying to jump out. Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber in his hand, and circulated his essence for the blue dragon returns to the sea. He looked coldly at Hua Yunfei. Hua Yunfei frowned slightly. Xiao Chen's gaze made him feel very uncomfortable. He snorted coldly and drew another line of blood on the ground. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Xiao Chen and kicked Xiao Chen away. Bang! 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 Hua Yunfei used 50% of his strength in this kick. Xiao Chen's body flew back like a cannonball, breaking 5 trees in a row. Xiao Chen bent down and stabbed the lunar shadow saber into the ground, creating a long trench in the ground. Xiao Chen, who was holding the lunar shadow saber, did not fall to the ground this time. Black lines started to appear on his pale face. The poison that was suppressed in his body was finally starting to retaliate. Xiao Chen coughed out a few mouthfuls of black blood and laughed maniacally. Together with the dense black lines on his face, he looked extremely terrifying. Continue, did you not drink milk? With such little strength, you are not even comparable to a woman. Xiao Chen's mouth curled up into a cold smile as he mocked. Hua Yunfei's expression changed, and his expression turned grave. An intense killing intent appeared in his eyes as he looked coldly at Xiao Chen. In his eyes, Xiao Chen was already a dead man. He pushed off the ground and leaped into the air. A scarlet afterimage appeared behind him as he sent a palm strike at Xiao Chen's head. Xiao Chen looked coldly at Hua Yunfei, who was rushing at him. He gently raised the lunar shadow saber in his hand, and casually changed his stance. The tip of the saber pointed at Hua Yunfei. It was just a very casual stance. There did not seem to be any movement. It was no different from before. Xiao Chen still had the appearance of being severely injured and weak. However, Hua Yunfei's right eye twitched for no reason. He felt a sense of danger. It was like something in his heart had been hollowed out. Could it be that this brat still has a killing move? Hua Yunfei thought suspiciously. Never mind, even if he has a killing move, he will not have the chance to execute it. In another breath, I will be able to shatter his skull. Thinking of this, Hua Yunfei dispelled the uncomfortable feeling in his heart. He smiled coldly and continued to smash at Xiao Chen's skull. However, just at this moment, Xiao Chen suddenly shouted. His aura suddenly changed, and a boundless aura surged out from his body, like it could topple mountains and overturn seas. Time seemed to freeze. Hua Yunfei's palm stopped in front of Xiao Chen's skull, unable to advance any further. After an instant, an irresistible force came from Xiao Chen's body. Hua Yunfei's body was blown away like a goose feather. The surrounding quiet forest was like a roaring wave. A boundless ocean appeared behind Xiao Chen. Huge waves surged and churned. Layers upon layers of waves surged continuously. All the trees within a 500-meter radius were uprooted and smashed into pieces by the roaring waves. In the middle of the ocean, a blue dragon slowly emerged. It let out a long roar that resounded in all directions. In the periphery of Savage Forest, all the spirit beasts felt a tremble deep in their hearts, coming from their bloodline. They prostrated themselves on the ground and trembled. When a dragon is trapped in the shallows, prawns will play with it. When a tiger falls to the plains, it will be bullied by dogs. When a tiger falls to the plains, there will be a day when there will be a dragon's water. When the blue dragon goes out to sea, I will make the rivers flow in reverse. The might of an ancient holy beast burst out. Under this supreme might, Hua Yunfei felt the essence in his body running amok, not listening to his commands. It was as if his limbs had lost their function and he could not move at all. That destructive force was once again grasped by Xiao Chen. The blue dragon circled around in the air before diving down towards Hua Yunfei. Seeing the blue dragon flying over, Hua Yunfei felt despair. It is actually a heaven-ranked martial technique. How is this possible? Am I going to die here? Impossible. I have a mutated martial spirit that appears only once every 1,000 years in the Hua clan. It is rarely seen since ancient times. In this era, I will definitely rise. How can an insignificant superior grade martial disciple defeat me? Hua Yunfei screamed crazily in his heart. Suddenly, a figure walked out from the boundless blood river in his dantian. That person was dressed in scarlet clothes that merged with the blood river. It was as if he had come from the underworld. His body emitted a boundless evil aura. He raised his head and looked at the blue dragon in the sky. The corner of his mouth curled up into a sinister smile. Boom! That figure suddenly leaped out of the dantian and turned into a huge scarlet figure. It stood in the sky and raised its hand to block the blue dragon descending from the sky. Bang! A horrifying shockwave spread out in all directions. All the trees within 1,000 meters were chopped in half and turned into powder. All that was left in the surroundings were countless tree roots. The blue dragon roared angrily. It was another drawn-out dragon roar. The scarlet figure became more and more condensed. The ground under his feet cracked and Hua Yunfei fell down. Seeing that the blue dragon was unstoppable, the scarlet figure let out a long sigh. It turned into a scarlet viscous substance and wrapped around Hua Yunfei. Bang! Without any obstruction, the blue dragon crashed into Hua Yunfei's body. Countless rocks flew out from the hole in the ground. Hua Yunfei's body continued to fall. He did not know how long he had been falling. After a long time, there were continuous explosions in the hole before it slowly stopped. T. All the blood vessels in Xiao Chen's body ruptured. Countless amounts of black blood spurted out in all directions. His face revealed an expression of extreme pain as he knelt on the ground with a piu tong sound. His flesh and blood were drying up at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was just like when he first awakened his martial spirit. It was obvious that the blue dragon had exhausted too much of his martial spirit. Furthermore, he did not have any excess essence in his body. The blue dragon and the martial spirit continued to absorb the spiritual energy in his flesh and blood. After a long time, Xiao Chen's originally sturdy body was now just skin and bones. His eyes were sunken in and his skin was shriveled. However, the surprising thing was that when the blue dragon martial spirit absorbed his flesh and blood, it also absorbed all the toxins in his body. In the distant sky, an ice phoenix and a sword image descended rapidly. Duan and Chu Chaoyan stood firmly on the ground. The two of them looked at their surroundings. There were countless broken tree roots and deep ravines on the ground. They were astonished. Chu Chaoyan walked slowly to the huge hole and looked at Hua Yunfei lying at the bottom. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. The sword on his back buzzed continuously. Duan said expressionlessly, "Do you want to kill him?" Chu Chaoyan smiled calmly and said indifferently, "If I had the opportunity, I would not have hesitated to make a move. Unfortunately, it was a blessing in disguise for him. He has awakened the origin of his mutated martial spirit. If I wanted to kill him, I'm afraid that the moment my killing intent appeared, it would immediately awaken him. After today, he will become even more terrifying." Duan walked over slowly. His eyes were filled with astonishment. The origin of an inherited martial spirit is already hard to awaken. A mutated inherited martial spirit is even harder to awaken. I'm afraid that no one in the younger generation of Dongming province will be a match for him in the future. Chu Chaoyan smiled faintly. He turned his gaze to Xiao Chun, who was lying on the ground like a dried corpse. He said, "In such a large Dongming province, there are definitely many hidden geniuses. Don't just focus on the three factions. Who knows, there might be someone in front of you who can be a match for him." Duan revealed a faint look of pity on her beautiful face. This person can be considered to have great fortuitous encounters. I wonder how he obtained a heaven-ranked martial technique. Unfortunately, he overestimated himself and executed it across realms. Furthermore, this is not the first time he executed a heaven-ranked martial technique. If he executed it again, he would probably die on the spot. Without a heaven-ranked martial technique, what can he use to compete with Hua Yunfei? In the end, he is just a superior grade martial disciple. Hua Yunfei did not continue discussing this topic. He said, "How are you going to deal with the ancient remnant map on him? Are you going to include Hua Yunfei as well?" Just as Duan was about to reply, a resplendent scarlet light shot out from the spirit blood jade on Xiao Chen's chest. Bai finally broke through the barrier that Xiao Chen had set up. It looked at Xiao Chen, who was lying on the ground like a dried corpse, and let out a mournful cry. The pure gaze in its eyes suddenly turned scarlet. Boom! A huge six-tailed spirit fox appeared in front of the two of them. A monstrous aura was emitted from its body. The 6 huge tails on its back soared into the sky, and its fur stood on end. It looked very horrifying. Not good, this little fellow is going berserk. Let's leave quickly. The two of them were startled. They quickly used their own methods to escape into the sky. Bai opened its mouth, and the surrounding spiritual energy surged into its mouth. The mysterious 9 heavenly revolution transformation circulated continuously. Boundless essence was compressed into 9 streams, forming a huge ball of light. The ball of light spun continuously. It was resplendent and dazzling. A strong wind blew in the surroundings, and in an instant, leaves flew everywhere. Broken rocks flew everywhere, and dust flew everywhere. It was very majestic. Boom! The ball of light flashed in the air, moving in a lightning-like arc. The 2 fleeing people were instantly struck by it. They both vomited a mouthful of blood and fell heavily to the ground. Bai looked at Xiao Chun on the ground, and its scarlet eyes turned misty. It carried Xiao Chun on its back and quickly fled into the distance. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.